It is time. The war shall begin. Lives shall be lost and dreams broken. It's the Let's Fight a Boss Game of the Year podcast. How are you guys feeling?
I'm really happy and not at all vulnerable in any way.
I'm ready for violence.
Yeah.
No!
Yeah. I want to fucking bleed some people right now.
Who, me?
Oh, we'll see. I think I have specific ways that I'm going to hurt both of you, and I'm really excited about it.
Via video games.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
is
Via
which
opinions on video games.
Yeah, which is really the most, respectable thing a human can do to another human, is to, debate video games in a vicious and snarling manner.
Yeah, well, this is going to be snarling. This is going to be, I know there was some maybe contested results this year, and this Game of the Year podcast is going to make all of it look like fucking nothing. We can absolutely cut that if we need to.
Oh.
But yeah, guys, I'm excited. And I actually went back and listened to the previous... I went back and listened to the previous intro last year, and it was so funny because, it's like, Neve, do you want to take the first stab? And she's like, okay, yeah, I'll just pick... Oh, I know, how about, Pocket Fighter Rumble? And me and Brian fucking blew up straight away.
And now, in 2020, what the fuck is Pocket Fighter Rumble?
Hey, that's a beautiful fighting game for the Switch that was developed as a Kickstarter, and it was really great, and every character has its own specific mechanics.
It's inspired by Neo Geo Pocket Fighting games, Neo, the most pure and beautiful genre of the medium.
Oh, but that's what Neve does. She just fucking hones in on the most honest and beautiful parts of the universe and fucking just tears it apart for no reason.
Kicking me while I'm down. While John cries, help us. And Neve goes, no, I won't help you because I don't care.
Video games. Didn't know it meant so much to you.
Because you don't care. We were just saying, Neve, Pocket Fighter is, it's Pocket Fighter Rumble is the game, is it?
I don't fucking know. I don't care.
Yeah.
Neve, you say you don't care.
One time I was going by Neve on my skateboard, and I was like, hey Neve, do you want to play some Pocket Fighter Rumble? And she did that thing where she stuck her foot out so the tip of my skateboard hit her foot, and I tumbled over her and into a bunch of garbage cans.
That was really funny.
No one's debating it wasn't funny, Neve.
I can remember one time I punched a shark in the face just like Lara Croft did in Tomb Raider Cradle of Life, and then I turned to Neve and I said, you think that's cool? You should check out Pocket Fighter Rumble. And Neve just blanked me.
Yeah.
Happened.
Can we reopen Best Old Game?
Yep.
No.
Yeah, alright.
No, what the fuck? What won that? Was it the frog?
No. Oh, don't worry. Me and my spawn brethren are going to have our final croak.
Brian, there's a really interesting frog narrative playing out here, and I must say I am interested.
Yeah, and I'm not even that into frogs. That's the best part.
Yeah, they're number 5.
6. I way prefer salamanders to frogs.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll get to your salamander arc someday.
Yeah.
Okay, so... I might be repeating myself here, depending on what gets cut or not cut. We're using the old school giant bomb way of selection. So we have 46 games, one by one we're going to cut them. It's going to be bloody, it's going to be violent, and it's going to really, really hurt. We're all going to have to make difficult decisions, but that's just fucking life, okay? That is life. If you are listening to this episode first, there is an entire pre-show you have missed where we catch up on our lives and what we watched and our feelings about being back. All that baby bullshit is in another episode, and it doesn't belong here because this is a fucking battleground, okay?
This is the war zone.
This is the war zone. This is the Let's Fight a Boss Game of the Year. Now, first things first, we're going to count down all the games we played this year, okay? I'm going to start, and I'll pass it along to you guys as we go. So we got 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, Animal Crossing New Horizons, A Short Hike, A Summer's End, Hong Kong 1986, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2, Bugsnax, Carrion, Crusader Kings 3, Deadly Premonition 2, Dreams, Fall Guys, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Genshin Impact, Granblue Fantasy, Versus, Hades, Hyrule Age of Calamity,
If Found, Iconfell, Inmost, Inertial Drift, Kentucky Route Zero, Lonely Mountain Downhill, Minoria, Mortal's Shell, Ninjala, One Piece Pirate Warriors, Ori and the Will-O'-the-Wisps, Panzer Paladin, and Paper Mario the Origami King.
Paradise Killer, Part-Time UFO, Resident Evil 3 Remake, Spelunky 2, Streets of Rage 4, Superliminal, Super Mario Bros. 35, Tamashi, Teardown, The Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope, The Last of Us Part 2, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 plus 2, Umurangi Generation, Visage, Watam, Yakuza 7, and the last game, Yes, Your Grace.
46 games. 45 victims, as far as I see it. One winner. Brian.
Yes.
It is your turn to make the first incision. Take the ceremonial dagger. Begin the ritual.
Can I just say as well that it's great to be back.
Hell yeah.
This is going to be a list that none of us are going to be happy with, but that's the point.
Yep.
This is Christmas time. It's not a time for smiles. It's a time for misery and fear. And video games are the definition of that.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And
this podcast more so than any other.
We also have a loose 13-month rule where games that come out in December that don't really get counted at the end of 2019 get counted for 2020.
Yep.
That's why Cyberpunk isn't on this list, because it'll be on next year's list. And so on and so forth. So some of these games will have actually come out at the very end of 2019, but they get counted for 2020.
Mm-hmm.
All's fair and square?
All fair and square.
There might be some big games missing, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah, none of us give a shit.
Watch Dogs Legion.
None of us give a shit.
I was the
that
only
Ghost of
person
Tsushima game.
who would probably play an Ubisoft game, but I decided not to buy them this year.
That's a good call.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we got some really, really cool games, but they're all going to be buried in the ground. So sucks to be a video game, but that's the point.
I feel bad for these games. What's about to happen?
Playing video games is serious fucking business, and that's why I'm going to cut Ninjala.
Whoa! Number 46, Ninjala. I don't see any disputes happening for that. Brian, why is this the worst game that came out this year?
All right. Well, it's the worst because I got picked first to pick the worst, so it gets cut first. The way I do my game of the year is that I pick my 6 favorite games, and then I pick my 3 least favorite games. And unfortunately, Ninjala is my least favorite game of 2020. So I played this on the Switch, and my first problem with it was that it's a cloud-based game. The game itself is very small, and most of it is hosted on a cloud online, and because of that, the tech is interesting, but cloud gaming is not there yet, everyone.
Especially on the Switch. Go play Control.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a very badly optimized game. I'd say I spent 3/4 of my time waiting and only 1/4 playing Ninjala.
Right.
So that the game part of the game wasn't really there, unfortunately, because of that. I think the character designs are super cool. It's definitely, a game that's competing to the likes of...
It's got a look.
Yeah, it's got a look, and it's definitely stepping up to Splatoon and I guess Fortnite to an extent. And I think the character designs are super nice, but the environments and the music aren't up to scratch with the character designs. And I think with a game like Splatoon, the characters, level design, and music all kind of complement each other, whereas this only kind of has one of them as a crutch. Then it has one of my biggest pet peeves in a video game where, let's say you have a meter and you use your special, and then you have to wait until it recharges. And if you press the button that uses that meter and it tells you can't, it'll make a noise. And one of my biggest pet peeves is when a noise goes like, and it's just a really, really awful, unpleasant noise. Ninjala does that, which I really don't appreciate. I don't know. The game was free to play, but it still felt like it cost a lot.
Okay. I think that's all fair. I think that's fine.
I wish I liked it.
Neve.
I am going to cut Genshin Impact.
Hell no.
I put about 25 hours into it. I don't like gacha games. I don't like the idea of the future of console gaming being gacha games. I think everything good about Genshin Impact has been mined from better games, put into a lab, and just designed around addiction. Like, it is purposely designed to keep you there. And that's why it's good, and that's why it's enjoyable to play, and that's why it looks great, and that's why it's reminiscent of Breath of the Wild, but with anime, so how can you go wrong? but it is designed specifically to be a predatory gacha game.
I think I gotta dispute this, Neve. I think it's a much better game than that. I'm not like the predatory stuff. I think you're 100% right about. I also think this is a functional, competent video game. Like, I have enjoyed my time with it. I like to put it on Saturday morning, just chill out. Is it the greatest game ever? No. Does it take a lot from Breath of the Wild? Absolutely. Does it do some things better than Breath of the Wild? I honestly think it does.
There is some I like the character designs in it. I like some of the combat. I also felt it was very easy. I didn't really have to do the roles to get characters other than wanting the characters, because you can just progress pretty easily. But then the story gets gated by gacha grinds, where you need to ascend your characters, you need to ascend your weapons, and you go into a dungeon and you need 3 ascension items, but you only get 2 ascension items per dungeon, and you can only do the dungeon once per week, and it becomes a grind period that's so fucking long and so part of gacha, and I hate that the story is completely gated by that stuff. So you unless you're willing to either spend money or a lot of time, you will not see some of the nicer parts of that, like the different villages, like the one that's kind of based on Russia and stuff, and China even, maybe you mightn't get to. I just think it's just so generic, and it's generic in trying to do something which I don't think is good for gaming, which is gacha. I don't like this model at all. So that's my reason for cutting it, but you're saying no, you're just what I'm basing this on is how much enjoyment did I get out of this? And I got more enjoyment out of this than I think a game that should go at the very top of this list. Well, what are you giving me? What are you putting out there? What do you want to cut?
Because we know Genshin Impact is on the chopping board, just not yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I can give you Inmost.
What's Inmost?
Inmost is a moody indie platformer that alludes to a darker story underneath.
Does it get there?
I stopped playing after 2.5 hours because I was honestly just not taken with it as well. It's one of those games, they played Limbo 7 years ago and were like, I'm going to make something like that. And it's got some clever puzzles, but I just...
Look, my Genshin Impact cut is a statement.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about how many hours of enjoyment I got out of it, because I got 20 plus, and and I did those free.
Okay, Neve. Well, if you want to make a statement, may I recommend some slam poetry or something like that? That seems kind of up your alley. But maybe you're gonna try and treat this fucking list with some respect. This is not Let's Fight a Boss top 46 statements of the year. It's the Game of the Year podcast.
So do you want to just put a pin in Genshin Impact until we get to the late 30s?
I'm going to put a pin in it because John loves the game. He doesn't, because I don't want to, because I want to cut the game.
I've not played Genshin Impact. I have it installed on my PlayStation, and
it's a great game.
And I'm too scared to launch it because I don't know what's going to happen.
Some might say top 10 game of the year.
One of the best parts of that
John,
game,
you're being a heel,
is you can play as an anime woman who will climb a sheer rock face in her heels, and it looks funny and it's great.
And you want to cut it?
I like Lisa. I like Jean. I like those characters. I think they're good anime characters that were exactly designed in a lab to be likable and to be wantable in that capacity. And I don't like that aspect of it. But if you're not going to let me cut Genshin Impact, I'm not gonna cut one of your stupid shitty games. That's all right.
I offered you a game.
Lonely Mountain Downhill.
Why that?
No, I was pointing at the one above it.
Kentucky Route Zero.
Yep.
Yeah, look, I don't like Kentucky Route Zero. I'm fine.
Yeah, I didn't get any real enjoyment out of that game. Neither did you.
No.
Good reason to cut it.
Do we want to say anything about it? I think it's kind of pretentious.
What do you mean?
I feel like when I found out that the guys who made Kentucky Route Zero are installation artists, it made so much sense, because so much of that game to me feels like it wants to be viewed rather than played. I think it would nearly be better as an animation that's projected, or a game that could be played in an open space, like an exhibition space. Because it's so much about the spectacle of how it looks, and I thought the story was just kind of just weak. Like, it's a lot of like...
Honestly, I got to the third episode. I didn't really have a great grasp on what was happening.
It just felt like a lot of vignettes of just like, hey, isn't it awful if you don't have healthcare? Yeah, it is. I don't need Kentucky's Route Zero to explain that to me personally.
I did like the anecdote about the guy falling in the hole. I was like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, I get you. Okay, that is the 45th game of this year. That would make it my fault. And I nominate Fall Guys. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Here's my logic. It's a shitty game for babies. It's a really cool idea, and I think the implementation on it like sucks. And everyone was like, "Oh, this indie game." It's not an indie game. It's not even close to an indie game.
I think we should keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it really like resonated with people this year.
Good. Are any of them here?
Or until Among Us like got people's attention, I guess. That game already came out.
Like, do you like it?
I like it more than Genshin Impact.
Okay. I think it's a bad game.
Yeah, fair. I think it's a bad game too. But
then why are we keeping it if
why
we
are we
agree?
keeping Genshin Impact?
You're getting very hung up on Genshin Impact.
How about that other game you were talking about? Was it Inmost?
No, I want Fall Guys gone.
Look, put Fall Guys.
I want to make.
I don't want to fight.
I want to
Fall
make
Guys.
a statement about Fall Guys. Okay.
Your statement is so like bitchy and mean. Where my statement was just like, I think gacha is predatory, and your statement is like, fuck people having fun.
Yeah, that's exactly like I don't like it when that happens.
No smiles from John. Bye, guys.
Yeah, look, it did less than nothing for me. Like, I played it for like an hour, and I felt like I had just seen the whole game, and I was like, yeah, this is something. And then I uninstalled it, and it left such a little impression, and that's kind of what I aim for in these rounds. Brian.
I'm not going to say Genshin Impact because that's news. Tamashi.
What was Tamashi again?
Okay. Tamashi was a high-action puzzle platformer that looked like a Japanese horror
that's right.
cursed video game. Now, here's my thing. I think visually this game's got something going on. I think it looks nice as stills. When you play this game, it's not fun to play. It's like Super Meat Boy, where you need to move a little like platforming character very fast around a series of puzzles that you need to do in the correct order. They're not very, very well designed, and they're not very fun. So the game aspect of the game isn't very good. Visually, it's cool, but I think we're about to hit a big trend of Western games that are trying to emulate Yume Nikki. That they're trying to look like Japanese horror cursed video games. And some of these are going to be good, and some of them are going to be bad. I'm hopeful that Omori, which is out at the very end of this year, which is made in RPG Maker, I think, kind of uses the inspirations of games like Yume Nikki, but uses them.
The trailer looked cool.
Yeah, it looked cool. And I am hopeful that game has the game aspect right. But this is a game, Tamashi is kind of a game where like it's got a good game in there, but I don't think it works as a puzzle platformer. It's got a lot of kind of like you're navigating through environments that all look the same. And I'm sure the people who made it know their way around, but I don't know how play tested it was. Just wasn't very fun to play. And I wouldn't recommend it. So for that reason, it's getting cut.
Okay. I think those are good reasons. And like I totally had that. Like I remember because you were kind of down on it, and I looked up a screenshot of it, and I was like, Brian. And then you were like, no, look up a video. And then I looked up a video. I was like, yeah, this doesn't look like it moves right.
No, and I love platformers. Like I think that's my most played genre of games. And knowing within 5 seconds if the player character feels good or not is going to make or break a game.
Totally. And
with that, like I ran with him and I jumped, and the run and jump is the important part of a platformer, and it didn't feel right. Didn't have a nice weight and movement to it, and that kind of turned me off it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, that's Tamashi at number 43.
Genshin Impact.
Okay. I think like your argument for it being predatory is fair, so like I'm willing to let it go. Like I do think it's a better game than this, but I also I hear you, and like it is true. It's not the kind of thing I want to see more of in the games industry. I think for me, it was just like it was a much more pleasant experience than I thought it would be. Like I thought it would be a much shitter game than it is, and it's not the best thing ever, but
it's quite easy and enjoyable to play. But I think that's part of the gacha element, where it's the sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah,
it takes around 40 hours to lock you out really seriously, and after that, you've spent 40 hours in a game where you may have paid for like roles for characters.
Yeah, and you're a whale, and like that sucks.
But like I'm not ragging on the game design. Like it looks really nice. It's a beautiful world to be in. The combat's interesting, if not a little easy. Like I was never challenged by the combat in any capacity.
It's like, is your level high enough or isn't it?
Yeah, is your level high enough, and figure out who to hit first if you're doing a timed kind of thing. It was kind of a bit of an empty world as well, and the main story is bleh.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So that's Genshin Impact at number 42. Okay, I am now going to cut in most. This was a game I was following its development for a while. I was really like curious to see where it went, because it has a look, like it has a really cool look to it. Very like kind of pixel graphics, very dark, very kind of like covered in shadow and all this kind of stuff. But just playing it, like from the story to the gameplay, it just felt like there was nothing. It would have been impressive like 9 years ago. You know, it would have been impressive as like an Xbox Live launch title.
Yeah.
But like in 2020, it's just, you've seen this, you've done this, like, you know, you played Limbo, you've played Inside, you've played a lot of that kind of stuff, and this just does not stand out. And it's kind of, I don't like to go too hard on like indie titles, because like I don't know how big the development team was, very small I imagine, but I kind of have to be honest about what this game did for me, which was next to nothing, and so it's kind of got to go. Brian.
Yes. All right, I'm going to cut Watam. So that is Watam at number 40. Watam is made by the dude who made Katamari, whose name I'm just going to get up here.
This looks cute. I thought this would be more your thing.
I know, right? So this is designed by Keita Takahashi. And that's what kind of made me want to get it, because the visuals are great, and I like his kind of philosophy with video games. It came out in like late December last year on PlayStation for €20. It's essentially an interactive screensaver.
Oh,
I've heard it described as more of a toy than a game.
Yeah. So this game, what did I write about it? Like, it is super cute, fun visuals. The sound effects are lovely. It costs €20, and it feels like a tablet game for toddlers to keep them occupied. And it feels like an art installation, I guess, the way we were talking about Kentucky Route Zero. Like, this should be something that's in a physical space, and maybe use it that way. And like, the game is super charming, but it's once again that the game part of the game is holding it back.
€20 is steep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot from what you just described.
Yeah.
So I was very, very disappointed by it. So that's why I'm cutting it.
Okay, I think that's fair. Neve.
Ooh. I'm gonna cut Panzer Paladin. Is that a no? I don't know anything about it, so I might be just throwing a name that you don't want me to throw out there, Brian.
Well, like, it's going to get cut eventually. Like, I wouldn't be able to defend Panzer Paladin enough.
45 of these games are going to get cut eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It can go longer. It can.
Yeah, if you feel it should stay on.
It could hang on for about 5 more games, honestly, but
okay.
Sure. It's just, yeah.
What's Eichenfell?
Eichenfell is a very lovely but perhaps unspectacular indie RPG. I think there's better there are games it is better than we have on this list. I'd probably feel very similar to how Brian feels about Panzer Paladin. It's not going to win, but it's got something.
What happens if I threw Lonely Mountain Downhill there?
Lonely Mountain Downhill is really cool because it does what it does so perfectly and so purely that it's just kind of a joy. But that's kind of all it does. Like, it is one level. It's just a game about riding a mountain bike downhill. And it's beautiful. It looks amazing. And
how about that Dark Pictures game?
Oh, yeah.
Little Hope.
Little Hope fucking sucks.
Okay, let's cut Little Hope. Okay.
Oh, Little Hope so bad. Oh, it's so bad. It just, and like I didn't play that far into it, but like it honestly, it feels like a horror film by people who don't like horror. Like, just completely like 20 minutes into the game, there is a car crash caused by a spooky little girl out in the middle of a foggy road.
Okay.
That's the kind of game it is.
Yeah.
And then like a monster shows up, and then there's other ghosts, and none of them feel related or interconnected. And it just looks like people just cramming a bunch of horror tropes into one game, but having no understanding at all for like what made those tropes good in the first place, or how to say something with fear or say something with horror. I have heard people who like the game say that it gets worse towards the end, but like I don't, but like it's just a mishmash of horror shit, and it doesn't even really have like the schlocky teen slasher film feel of the first one, so it's much harder to write this shit off, you know. And it looks okay, like it looks fine, but it's just, when I think of how far horror has come, like even in cinema in like the last decade, I think it's been a fucking terrific decade for horror.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really has.
Yeah.
I want one of those people to make this kind of game. I want them to do something really fucking special. And this game is the horror equivalent of a toddler slipping around in its own shit.
So bad game?
Bad game, Brian.
Okay, let's
But here's why I think we should keep it.
What? I played Man of Medan last year, and I was like, it was okay, but I was like, I'm gonna wait for reviews for Little Hope, and they came out and they were bad, and I was like, oh.
Like, maybe there's some fun you could have as like a so bad it's good thing, but like me and Michelle put it on one night, and after an hour we were like, we ruined tonight.
I think when all of these Dark Pictures anthology games come out and then they sell a collected version for €40, then it will be worth it.
Sure, give it a look. But it is one of the worst games on this list, I think.
Okay.
And
I can't believe it beat other games.
It's going out at number 39.
Yeah. And not 46.
It's the Genshin Impact argument got us all riled up too quickly, and we all fucking lost our shit.
Sorry, that's clearly what I do. Is my first cut is just too much.
I thought it was pretty brave.
I'm just not letting you get away with stuff because you got Death Stranding into fucking the 10th position.
Oh, you fucking wait till you see what I got into 10th this year.
Death Stranding should have been in 11.
You just fucking wait.
Oh.
Fucking Death Stranding.
But Niamh, I respect the passion.
Okay, John, it's your turn. It's actually your turn now.
Okay. Okay, I need to put some feelers out there because there's just some of this stuff I have no idea about. Brian, tell me about Short Hike.
Short Hike is fucking brilliant.
Okay, moving on. Okay, I think I got one I can do, and I don't hate this game at all. I think this is really cool. I have a lot of respect for this game. I also find it kind of impenetrable. I've spent a couple of hours with Crusader Kings 3, and I think there's a future where I'm super into this game. It is basically a systems-based Game of Thrones simulator. It's a lot of you vying for control over medieval lands with other kings and rulers and just all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of intrigue. You can like basically try and breed your way into power. You can try and get like someone else's person pregnant with like one of either you or one of your vassals, and then reveal that they are actually the true heir. You can have the other kings assassinated. You can engage in like kind of trade wars. You can actually invade them. It's all this kind of stuff you can do. And like, I have read articles about this game where like the different ways all the systems interact and like the kind of what's the word, something storytelling, the emergent storytelling that it produces is fantastic. But after a couple of hours with it, it is like a mess of just different menus and stats and drop downs, and I really tried to get into it, and I think I still can, but I'm just not there with it, and I just can't. With that being the case, I can't let it go any further than this. And like, to people, I know people are going to lose their shit because for some people this is like a game of the year, and I totally accept that. But all I can go on is how I feel about the game right now. I can't try and predict how I'm going to feel about it in the future. So I think I gotta cut it. Brian, that's Crusader Kings at number 38.
Okay. Superliminal.
Oh, this is the game where objects appear smaller or bigger.
Yeah, it's a perspective scaling puzzler. I think the gameplay of this game is really good. So it's in first person. You're kind of being monitored as you go through a hotel room and a lab and a couple of other kind of sterile, kind of vacant, large environments. And you're picking up objects and then dropping them, and the perspective of them swaps. And then there's a couple of puzzles like that where what you think you pick up is an object, but really it's like you're picking up a door that you're inside, and so you're moving yourself around.
Oh, cool.
And that stuff is really, really fun. But I think the narrative and the motivation behind this game just borrows from Portal and the Stanley Parable and doesn't add anything fresh or original in terms of atmosphere and narrative.
Do you think it would be better if it just kind of left it out and was just purely an object puzzler with no narrative?
Absolutely. I think if you could make up your own narrative or they kept it more vague, it would have been better. But it's going for a personality, and it's successful with that personality, but that personality is from another game that came out 10 years ago.
That's rough.
And I think that's kind of disappointing, and it holds itself back from being more fresh and original. And I do really, really like this game, and I wish I liked it more.
That's always a weird, like, spot to get in at a game where you're like, I really want to like this more than I do.
Yeah, but there's just stuff holding it back from being a great game.
Okay, that's fair. So that's Superliminal at number 37, Neve. I feel like we still got some fat to chew.
Oh yeah.
What's Minoria?
Minoria is one of the many Metroidvanias I played this year.
Was it a good one?
Yeah, it's alright. I can cut it if you want.
Okay, let's cut Minoria.
Minoria is the new game from Ordine, who made the Momodora series. This is his first 3D game. And it's about 4 or 5 hours long, and it's got some cool... and so this is a Metroidvania, aka search action game. I've played a couple of them this year. I'd say Minoria would probably be my least favorite of them. Really, really enjoyed this game. It's competing with other games from the same genre that I preferred more. It's got some cool boss battles, got some cool abilities. The world layout is pretty well designed, and I do respect this game. I think it's great. There's just other games I'd pick over it, unfortunately. But this is a game I did play from start to finish and liked a lot.
Okay. I think I got to get rid of Ikenfell.
Yeah.
Ikenfell is a super cute little RPG where you're a girl and you are going to find your sister who's been going to witch school, and you get enrolled in the witch school. Biggest plus about this game is it has a really good battle system. It like takes place on a grid, kind of a bit like Tactics Ogre, but with like or Disgaea, but with much more of an emphasis on like your spells controlling particular squares, and like it's hard. So if you don't have your shit together, like you get wrecked. And like Brian, it has like a real, Paper Mario style battle system where you have to hit the buttons at the right time, and like it's very precise, but it feels very good when you do. And like the button presses are tight. Like you really have to know your shit, and if you don't, you will do no damage and you will take loads of damage. And I like it. The only reason I feel like it's going this early is because, honestly, this really feels like a game from a fan of other games, but in a way that it maybe just, to me, never really stepped out onto its own enough. The story is very wholesome. You know, like it's a nice story, but it never really pulled me in at all. And I think with that, you know, you if your RPG is going to be all it's going to be, you need something to kind of pull you through the grinding and the battles and all that kind of stuff. And it just wasn't really there for me. That's not saying it wasn't charming. It was, but I just think there's more impactful games for me that came out this year. And I know some people really love this game, and like it is cool, and I'm happy it exists. You know, it's from a very small team. It might be from one person, I'm not sure, but I think this is as far as it goes. And that is at number 35, Brian.
Okay, I'm going to cut Panzer Paladin. So let me talk about Panzer Paladin. This is an indie game, sprite indie game, and it's inspired by the early Mega Man games, and then this mech game that's on the NES where you can control a mech, but then you can also jump out of the mech and you're really small and exposed, but you need to be small to fit into small little gaps to open up like the large doors for the mech to go through. And it does the Mega Man thing where you play an introduction level, and then you're given the choice of whatever level you want to do and fight the bosses in whatever order you want, and then you inherit their abilities, and you've got a stronger mech.
Sure, yeah.
And it does this cool world building thing where you're in a mech, but it's also you're fighting fantasy monsters.
Literally a purple dragon.
Yeah. So you're fighting fantasy monsters from around the world. So I think one of them you go to Scotland, which is pretty good. Never played a game where you're fighting a monster in Scotland. And the game is super charming. It has a really, really, really cool opening cutscene. The sprite art is fantastic. It's probably one of my favorite looking sprite looking games this year.
Yeah, it looks cool.
I didn't really get caught up too much in the gameplay. Like it's a very fun game to play, but I wasn't super engaged with it. The level design is fine. And it has a cool weapon system where you have swords, but they'll wear down over time. So when your sword is about to just wear down, then you'll use it as a throwing spear. And that's kind of like your one last push with the weapon.
That's pretty cool.
And so that's a fun system. But I just kind of found the level design just very kind of copy paste, you know.
Right,
You're kind of just going through environments and you're jumping over gaps, but there's no real kind of...
In a game like this, like I feel like the level design is so much of the game. Like,
yeah, and like the game is super charming, and I really, really like it, and I'd recommend it, especially if the game is on sale. It's a really cool game. It just didn't grab me like I thought it would.
Cool. Okay, that's Panzer Paladin at number 34. Neve.
Lonely Mountains Downhill.
Yep, I think that's fair. Again, I think in a way this game is kind of the perfect version of what it is. I wouldn't change anything about it. I think it is just a really chill time. I think if all three of us had played it, it would have done better, but that's not feasible for every game on this list. And like, as much as I enjoy this game, it's also not it's something I put on for 20 minutes and chill out and then don't play again for a while, you know? So that being the case, it is kind of hard to push harder for it. I think in terms of like, there's nearly like a puzzle-like nature to how you work your way around the hill and like, you know, decreasing your momentum at this point and like turning at this point and all that kind of stuff. So there is a kind of like nearly like momentum-based or physics-based puzzle aspect to it. I just think there's a much stronger physics puzzler on here. So I think it's okay to go out at number 33. But it's a good game, and if anything I've said about it intrigues you, you should check it out, because it is really cool. Okay. You've talked to me about Inertial Drift.
Inertial Drift is a twin-stick arcade racer where your driving is The left is to steer, but the right controls your drift.
Hell yeah.
It is neon-drenched, cel-shaded style that does speed really well. You feel fast when you play it. It's one of those, I'll just do another race, and then suddenly like 4 hours have passed by.
This looks cool.
It looks like, it reminded me of like, you know, PlayStation 2 arcadey titles, like old Tony Hawk's, or even playing SSX and wanting to get like that perfect run kind of stuff where you kept restarting because like you just messed up the drift on the first turn, and you're like, I can do that so much better.
Neve, I don't know that this sounds like the 32nd best game of the year.
No, it definitely doesn't. It's also like developed in Northern Ireland, which I think is really cool, so I want to give that a shout out. And it's just a gorgeous looking game.
Okay, cool.
It made me care about cars, which I don't care about.
I put a lot of stock in games that can make me give a shit about things I don't give a shit about. Brian.
Yes.
Talk to me about One Piece Pirate Warriors 4.
It's fine. I was very disappointed by it, to be honest.
Okay. I think I'm going to nominate that to go then.
Yeah. I play 1 or 2 Muso games a year, and it always seems to be the case that one I super love and the other I don't at all, unfortunately. As someone who really, really enjoyed One Piece Warriors 3 and was really looking forward to One Piece Warriors 4, I was very disappointed by it. I think it makes a lot of setbacks on the previous game. The characters are less fun to play as. It's a lot more frustrating in its mission. The story mode is a lot more bare bones compared to the previous game. It retreads a lot of the same story beats of the previous game, whereas it could have had the opportunity to do something like an original story, or else really, really focus on the inertia of a busy arc that ran for 100 chapters. And they don't. It just seems like wasted potential in some of those aspects. And it's cool to play as Luffy when he's in Gear 4th mode. That's a lot of fun. But it kind of relies on the gimmicks more than the core gameplay. And the music isn't as good as the third game, and the music in the third game is amazing. And I was really expecting this game to be as good as the previous installments, and it wasn't.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I remember when this came out, you were down on it.
Yeah.
And I hate that feeling, like when One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 came out, I remember you were so up on it.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing.
And you sat me down with it, and like, just playing it, I was like, oh fuck, this feels really good.
And like, after playing, and like I played 4 to completion, like I beat that game, and I didn't feel anything. I felt nothing. And then I thought, was it me? And then I played an hour or two of Pirate Warriors 3, and I felt good about myself again. So like the game just it's just not made the way it should be made. It's just not correct. I don't know how else to describe it.
Okay, that's fair. And now, Brian, it is your turn to cut. That's One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 at number 32.
Yeah. What's Teardown?
Teardown's really cool. It is a first-person destruction game, and it's all voxels, so it's like kind of a lot of like square pixels that like destroy dynamically. So, for example, if you smash the like foundation of a building, you can sit back and you can watch it just collapse. You can also set a building on fire and just watch it burn to the ground over the course of 15 minutes. It's really impressive how much fun it is and how like technically competent the game is, like just taking these chunks of like voxels out of these buildings, and then like you have different kind of missions. So like say one, there'll be like this just big cabin, and the mission will be the cabin is 3 meters too tall, and you just have to find a way to just, and you can go up to the top floor and like piece by piece you can like just shave pieces off the cabin, or you can attack the foundations and tip it over. You can drive vehicles like you can drive a truck through a mansion if you want. It's fucking cool. I have a really fun time playing it. It's another one of those Zen games I really like. I think it could go further. I don't think it could go much further. So if you guys wanna let it go now, I think I'm cool with that.
Okay.
It's good though. I recommend people check it out. Like especially if the idea of just fucking wrecking shit sounds fun to you. Kind of another one of those games where what it does very, very well, even if like its scope isn't ginormous or anything. Okay, that is number 31. Neve, what is number 30?
Super Mario Bros. 35?
Seeing if I can offer you something else I played.
What is Super Mario Bros. 35?
What about Battle Royale if it was a Mario game?
So, have you guys ever played original Super Mario Bros?
Of course.
It's fine.
I like it.
You like it?
I think, yeah, I think it's a genuinely good game.
I replayed through it earlier this year. It's just
really
because,
hard.
Yeah, just because I was like, I don't think I ever beat the game, so I just sat down and beat it in an hour, and I was like, cool. And then I thought nothing of it. And then for the Mario 35th anniversary stuff, around September, they put out this thing called Super Mario Bros. 35, and I guess it's kind of this year's version of Tetris 99, where it's a multiplayer where you and 34 other people are playing Super Mario Brothers at the same time, and the better you play, you send more enemies into your opponent's game, and that made original Super Mario Brothers really, really fun. And I played it for a couple hours, and I eventually came first place, and I felt fucking awesome. And I haven't played it since because I've got my fill of it.
You're the undefeated champion.
Yeah, absolutely. And it made me like original Super Mario Brothers because it did something cool and fun. And I'm sure at the time the original game was really important, and I like, you know, I appreciate it for what it is. But I just thought this was like a fun gimmick that worked out. One thing I don't like about this game, and this is what Nintendo as a company are doing, is they're being really anti-consumer this season. Between now and March, there's a couple of games on their online shop and physical that they are selling, and then
it's fucking bullshit.
And then they're withholding. And so the games are Super Mario 35, which is free to play, but will be removed and will have the online service deactivated in March. And the other two games are the Mario 3D All-Stars Collection and the new Fire Emblem, well, the Fire Emblem port of Shadow Dragon. And you can only buy them for a limited amount of time. And I just wanted to put that comment in there just because that's not a good thing to do. I don't know why they're doing it.
Shady to see it from Nintendo, who have like traditionally been so against that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I really like Super Mario Bros. 35, but I'd never play it again, and I probably won't be able to.
So we cut it?
Sure. Yes.
That was news cut. Okay. I am going to cut Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2.
Wow.
Yeah. This is a really cool game, and there's things I really like about it. We were all pretty high on Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. I think you'd both get a lot of enjoyment out of this game as well. It has everything that is good about that game, and to boot, it kind of has like a sort of more of like a cheeky personality that I liked. The new girl character in it's really cool. There's like in between each level now, there's like a campground, but each campground is different, and you get this little looping animation of the characters just hanging out at the campground, like teasing each other or like just drinking or having a nice time. And it really does add like a warmth to that game that I like. The only problem is like, I think it's kind of a worse game as well. And that's because I think I talked about this in the Bosscast, maybe like the last episode we did. So it feels like I just talked about it. But you basically get this character who's like a Pomeranian in a mech suit.
Oh, the overpowered Pomeranian.
And you can just punch your way through those. So those immaculately designed levels, you can just like literally go invincible and punch your way through them. And every boss just turns into you switching to that thing, going invincible. And I don't know how that made it into the game in this form. Like, it's so overpowered that it really breaks the game. And like, when I say breaks the game, you can just bypass design elements of this game that are very carefully thought out with this. And I know that like the reply to that is always like, well, don't do it. And I always say it's not the player's job to balance the game for the creator. And in that one regard, I feel like it really fucks up. And if it hadn't, maybe it could have gone higher. But like, to be honest with you, aside from like the kind of better personality and stuff, I feel like it does a lot of what the last game did, but not necessarily better. It kind of just meets the bar rather than surpassing it. And it is a great game. It's fucking cool. And I think 29 is the right place for it. Brian.
Yes. Can I put out some feelers for some games? I just want to hear like a response to some.
Go for it.
Okay, Bugsnax.
Guys, I really like Bugsnax.
Okay, well, I'll leave it alone for a bit.
Okay.
Carrion, we leave that alone for a bit. I'm kind of... Animal Crossing, not yet. John, are you going to defend
I like
it?
Animal Crossing.
Okay, we'll leave it alone. Mortal Shell, what's that?
That's the
Dark Souls.
Souls-like. Yeah, is that good? Because I like how the characters look.
It is good. It's very good. Really pulled me in for like 20 or so hours. I would... Okay, let's see how things roll out. I think that can go a bit further.
Okay. Yeah, because there's Streets of Rage 4.
Oh, I think that's a really cool game. What do you think, Neve?
Yeah, I like Streets of Rage a lot.
Okay. Visage.
We could probably get rid of Visage.
I'd like to get rid of it, please.
I really enjoyed my time with Visage. It scared... Like, Visage is a horror game that was kickstarted as a spiritual successor to Hideo Kojima's PT. And it does what it sets out to do really well, which is to create a suburban home, make it dark and spooky, and put a scary woman in there. And... And it does it, and it is really, really spooky. So much so that I had to ask my girlfriend to sit in the room with me while I was playing because it was too spooky. And for all it does right, it just, like, it drops the ball because it's a spiritual successor, I think. Because they set out to make a game that looks like PT. And then when it hits the story in this, you're like, oh, this is what they didn't have a plan for. And, like, they do little story vignettes, but they are, like... not only edgy, but just like done to death. Like I never felt the kind of best of horror tropes in a video game.
I think you said to me like the openings of this game is like the most try-hard edgy shit I've ever seen.
It is.
Yes.
And then like I was like, oh cool, I can't wait to see this. And then I was like,
yeah, it is the most try-hard edgy shit. And it doesn't come up again for ages, just what you see at the start. Like it is extremely edgy. But when it does atmosphere so well, it does like moody, dark corridors really well. Its inventory system sucks ass.
Yeah, and the control management of that is...
Brian, you hated this game.
I liked the atmosphere of it. I didn't think it was scary at all. And
how did you not find that scary, Brian?
Because once I got the...
I think I know... I'm going to let you talk, but I think I know what happened here.
So the monster gotcha animation was scary the first time. Then it was like, oh, got me again. And then it just became a frustrating bullshit experience.
It takes so long to get from one side of the house to the other.
Yeah, the problem as well with it is the walk speed of the character is so slow to the point that I was like, I guess I'm playing as an elderly man. Because that was just like, in terms of the story, that felt like it made the most sense as well. I was like, I guess I'm 80.
Yeah.
And going up the stairs takes a lot of work. Because I think this game would be twice, like half the length if you could walk at a normal pace.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Also, this game costs €35.
Yeah.
There's 3 individual stories in it, and they do have good vignettes. Like the Dolores stuff, there's some cool shit with the talking kitchen and just like different moving rooms and stuff. Like there's a whole room that is just like MC Escher staircases that is really, really cool.
So I kind of feel like you had one experience with this game, Neve. I feel like, Brian, you had a very different experience.
Yeah.
I feel like I had 2 big play sessions in this, and I feel like in one session I had you, Neve, and in the other I had you, Brian, because the first time I played this, I think I stumbled into the old lady vignette, and it was fucking scary and tense and genuinely freaked me out. There's one bit where you're walking around a dark room with like and there's a baby monitor in there, and next thing like you just hear like this old lady coming over the baby monitor and laughing. Fucking scared the shit out. Like I was genuinely spookered, and I went through that, and there was a lot of very surreal, impossible space horror that I thought was fucking brilliant. And I was like, I really like this game. I was like, man, this is a contender. This thing, like this is the first game in so long that's really freaked me out. I was really excited to play more. Played my second session. I spent like an hour wandering around that house blindly, not knowing where to go or what to do, and I was so lost. Remember you told me to look up guides?
Yeah.
I couldn't even find where in the guide I was to kind of make my way. And then in the second half of that playthrough, the old lady animation kept triggering where she stabs you. And by the end of that, Brian, I got to very where you are. That's not really me saying like I soured on this game. I just think like there is an experience they want you to have, and there's an experience that the game design traps you into having. And I think when this game is good, it's fucking good. When it's not, it's really not.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I had the best experience with it. I will say, like there's so much Catholic, like, kitsch around the house.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I guess this will come into it, because they later on start doing, like, fetus stuff as well, and, like, you know, Catholic Church, abortion, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, I guess this will become part of the story. No. Like, nothing.
It's just base level.
Yeah, it's just Catholicism, because Catholicism is spooky. But if you're, like, from Ireland or Chile or Portugal or literally anywhere where, like, you know, Catholicism is the dominant religion, you have been in houses that look like this. This is your granny's house.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not scary. So,
my granny's house was spookier than this.
Yeah, so same here. My granny had like so many Mary statues.
so many like bloody Jesuses.
Yeah. So like that bit I thought was really funny, because it was purely like what's scary? Like Jesus? Is it Jesus? Is it
Holy Mary?
Mary, she's scary. And it's like, meh, not really. And just like it doesn't deliver on story, but it does deliver on atmosphere, but only if you go down, I guess, a certain path, because I know there's 3 items you can pick and they trigger what story you're in.
There's like the son, the daughter, and the wife, or something like that.
And you can, I guess, have a really shitty time with this or a pretty good time with it. I think if you do like horror games, it's kind of worth seeing for the atmosphere.
When it hits, it hits. Like it genuinely does.
Yeah, it seems like if you're the kind of person that likes to play in the dark with headphones on, this is the game for you.
And like Brian, I think if you had gotten a stronger vignette, you'd feel more favorably about it. But the fact that you didn't also doesn't discredit your opinion, because that is the game. You know?
I read a walkthrough online about where I needed to go, and then like I read other bits of the walkthrough, and even the person writing the walkthrough was like, okay, this bit's a bit frustrating, but you just have to bear it.
Yeah, I encountered a few bits where they're like, and do this, and it should trigger. If it doesn't, try do it again, and try do this. And I was like,
PT successor.
Yeah, I think like that worked with PT because it was a playable teaser. You know, it was a piece of marketing. I don't ever want that in a full price game. But yeah, interesting game. You know, like I think it's cool. It left an impression on me for sure. Is it?
It's Neve's turn.
Neve.
Okay. Really getting down to it. How do we feel about Animal Crossing New Horizons?
Like, are there other games, John, like Dreams or something like that you'd push more or less?
I mean, I would probably let Mortal Shell go before I let New Horizons go.
Okay.
Mortal Shell is fucking cool. If you are like jonesing for like a Souls game right now, Mortal Souls is awesome, because basically like take a Souls game and make it like 15 to 20 hours. You know, cut it down from like 35 to 40 hours, and I think it's also very easy to dismiss as like a Dark Souls clone, and like it is like there is no doubt about it that this game is anything but that. But I think some of the most interesting parts about it are like how it differentiates itself from it. So like the main kind of gimmick in Mortal Soul is that you can harden at any point during the game, like mid attack animation, you can hit I know. It's what it's called. Okay, I don't think their English is their first language.
Okay, so anytime during the game you can get like really hard and
nice and hard.
Just hard. It's just hard. It's not big and hard. It's not nice and hard. It's not pulsing and hard. It's just hard. Okay, you hit a button and it just says hard, and you harden and it lets you break through things.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you're fighting another guy, right?
Yeah.
And he goes to hit you, but you harden in the middle of it.
You're real hard for him.
And then you stop being hard and you let him have it.
So you
release.
Okay.
Yeah. The hardened command.
John,
It's good.
John, your face is getting all red.
It's not red. It's hot.
We should open up the window if it's getting a bit too hard for you.
You fight a weird crow god.
Is the character design good, John?
It's like 3/4 as good as Dark Souls.
Okay.
Like, yeah, you know, it's a little tropey, but like it does grim. Oh, there's another cool feature where like basically you are basically playing as a spirit controlling a body, and so if you run out of health, you get blasted out of your body and have to try and get back to your body before the enemy can hit you once because you're super weak and you'll just die. You can control 4 different bodies. They all use different like weapons and move sets, and like the moves feel really weighty and good. And like this is a small game from people who think Dark Souls is fucking awesome. And what's impressive about it is it's like a Dark Souls remix. It takes cool bits of Dark Souls and mixes it with this other shit, and it's a genuinely impressive effort. And I was really pulled into it. You know, that kind of feeling of being in the Dark Souls world and like exploring and like discovering this new, like, you know, turning a corner, seeing a really fucked up monster and just being like, no, thank you. It's full of that. And it's limited. You know, there's a lot of enemy repetition. I felt like it maybe went one zone too long, and it's not a perfect game, but it's something I really feel like was made with passion and love and has so much more polish than a game this size should be. And yeah, this is probably the right time for it to go, but it was one of the more pleasant surprises for me this year.
John, could you open up the window, please? It's getting kind of hard in here.
I don't think opening a window will help with that, Brian. It's getting kind of hot. I can help with that.
Sure. Thank you, John.
It's all right.
We're going to leave all this in, aren't we, Neve?
Yeah, we need to harden and release.
I think that's really cool that you can get hard.
Me too. I'd like to try it someday.
How hard are you right now, John?
Not very.
Is it because you released just there?
No, just can. How many more games do we have to go? Like 5?
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you want to put Mortal Shell down the list at number 27?
Mortal Shell sounds good. I actually.
It is good.
That goes on my 2 playlist.
You see this on sale? Go for it.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Who we at?
That was me.
So, it's you,
so I
John.
think it's your cut.
Okay. Ooh. I think we're starting to get down to it. There's 2 games I want to bring up here.
Okay,
Yeah.
go for it.
A Summer's End and Paradise Killer.
Not Paradise Killer. Paradise Killer is very, very good. It is the most compelling writing I've experienced this year. A Summer's End, I really, really enjoyed that as a little experience.
Yeah, I love that game.
Yeah, like, do you want to cut it now, or how do you feel about it? Like, I'd keep it longer.
I'd keep it maybe for like 2 or 3 more games,
Yeah.
but that'd be about it, to be honest.
I think it was one of those games where I was just like
I'm happy to let
optimism.
you sound pretty passionate about Paradise Killer. I can, with Summer's End, it's like we're running out of games that I would feel comfortable cutting, and so I think like it is getting to the point where we need to start making tough choices.
I get you. How do you feel about a short hike versus a Summer's End, Brian?
Oh, I'd pick a short hike.
Okay.
I really like that game.
Okay, I think I don't know. Yeah, let's cut a Summer's End. Hong Kong, 1986.
What's Yes, Your Grace, Neve?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Your Grace is a resource management game where you play as a very tired king who faints from stress and who has to deal with the wants and needs of his subjects while also trying to build an army and relationships with other people.
Neve, my chest is getting tight. I don't like this. This sounds scary.
It's very, very good. I like Yes, Your Grace a lot.
Okay.
I was surprised at how good it is. I think I'm more open to cutting a Summer's End, because a Summer's End is like, once you play a Summer's End, you've played it. It's not gonna, like, it doesn't have replay value, at least not for me, unless you want to see maybe the
bad ending. The bad ending is
the bad
really
ending.
really lame. I love the aesthetic of this game. I like that they went for a PC 98 look. They were very successful with
beautiful.
that. The soundtrack is really, really good. The main story is super cute. Get some cool splash drawings.
I hate that I have to qualify it, but you know what I mean. Like it's got a vibe that I think is kind of sensuous, which you do want for a game like this.
It's romantic and it is
it's
so
done
in a
very
sincere,
tastefully.
tasteful way.
Yeah.
I like stuff as well that like it takes place in Hong Kong and the characters feel like they're from Hong Kong. I like that they have two names. They have like their English name as well, and so they both tell each other their birth names as well as their English names, which I thought was really sweet. Because there's only a few places in the world that you could kind of do that, or where you have a translation of your name that's in another language.
Some of the dialogue I felt like could have been better.
I mean, maybe. I think there's a bit of a corniness to visual novels, but the overall kind of...
Not the good ones, Neve.
Meh. I don't know. I liked it. Good time, but I wouldn't fight for it any further.
Okay.
It kind of is what it is.
Yeah, I had a fun time back in March or April when we played it.
I'm glad we played it.
Yeah.
That's number 26. Number 25. My brain is starting to go. Who are we?
Is it me? Oh yeah, it's me. Okay. One of us really likes this game, and I wasn't big on it, and I don't know what Neve thinks about it now. How are we feeling about Dreams?
I think Dreams is so cool.
But would you be willing to like sacrifice it for other games that
I'd be willing to sacrifice Animal Crossing over Dreams for sure.
Wow. I didn't enjoy Dreams at all, and I played it for about 8 hours.
It's because you hate creativity, Brian.
But I don't think any of us played the creation side of it. I think we all played the.
I tried.
You tried making.
I did like hours of tutorials.
Brian, you misunderstand. You hate other people's creativity, and it's what makes you such an evil person.
But I love Super Mario Maker.
It's because it's got a Mario skin on people's creativity.
Just Mario.
Yeah,
it's fucking Nintendo shill. You know what? I'm done with this shit.
So,
I think keep Dreams. I think Dreams is like.
I think Dreams
weird
is fascinating.
And
yeah, like I love it.
I played a full fucking like.
But when was the
Hideo
last
Kojima
time
fan game.
we played it?
Okay, the game came out way earlier this year. If you want to start qualifying games by when the last time we played it, this is a totally different list.
I just thought I'd play more of it during lockdown, and I thought it would kind of get like a resurgence, but it just, I don't know, I just never clicked with it. And I really like Media Molecule.
I think we keep Dreams.
Okay, yeah, keep it for a bit then.
Whose cut is it? Is it yours, Brian?
It's my cut, but I don't want to cut any of my games just yet. Like,
what about Granblue Fantasy Versus?
No fucking way.
John, you could barely get a fight in that game, and you couldn't play the RPG mode.
Well, not recently, but that's every fighting game, and especially anime fighters.
You were saying that on the podcast that you were talking about it, that you were finding it hard to get.
It was fine initially, but yeah, it did get bad. But like that's every anime fighting game, and I love Granblue Fantasy Versus. There's a lot of games I'd put ahead. I'd cut before that.
Okay, then I guess it's Animal Crossing.
Okay. I'm eating a lot of my own children here. I'm just saying, just mentioning.
Animal Crossing's your child?
I'm the only one who's going to fight for it on this.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that's a deep cut to John. Animal Crossing, his favorite game.
Yeah,
I spent a lot of time this year playing that game. Like, I really think this is a cool game, and like I really loved playing it during lockdown. It was one of the precious few joys, and like I think the game hit with a lot of people this year for that reason.
Oh yeah,
did,
like
yeah,
I don't
sure.
deny that, but I just like I don't know. It doesn't feel like a John game.
Okay, maybe describing it as one of my children is probably edging it. Like that is probably too far. But I guess when I look at this list now, we are running out of games that are not my children.
Okay.
I guess that's all I mean. I thought this was a really fucking cool Animal Crossing. Honestly, a big part of that was just being able to play it with Michelle and both getting so into it and trading shit, and like, you know, she'll always send me little presents because she's nice. And that was a lot of it for me. I thought it was a really cute little game. I thought it looked really lovely. I thought they really made some big changes in the end game with how you can customize your islands in a way that I really respect, but also felt like maybe some of the purity of Animal Crossing was kind of lost, as it kind of just seemed to be something that people obsessed over endlessly and made it not a chill game anymore, you know. And I think that's kind of, it's really interesting. It is a game I spent a lot of time with.
It spawned a fascinating black market for villagers.
Yeah, that was something.
And objects. I was following people. I wasn't following people, but I saw on Twitter where people were like, come to my island and I'll give you X amount, but you have to pay me a certain number of Kofis. Like people were running a little side business on Animal Crossing.
From what I heard, like some of the top characters like go for about $200 to $300.
Yep, and on eBay and stuff. It's just mad that this little black market would crop up out of that game.
I think
economics.
If there was one thing that disappointed me about this game is that I felt like some of the personality of Animal Crossing was gone. I feel like each time you talk to the villagers, you get maybe 2 lines of dialogue, and that's it. And as well as that, the villagers aren't mean to you anymore.
Oh, you love being nagged.
You do. John, come on now. You
okay.
He likes being talked down to.
Oh my god, you fucking guys.
Come on, sweetie, it's fine.
I'm trying, like, I'm not fucking sitting there playing Animal Crossing New Leaf being like, yeah, Rossetti, give it to me. Like, that's not what I'm talking about.
But you're also like, Rossetti isn't mean anymore.
You want Rossetti to step on you.
That's not what I want.
Even though nobody's seen his feet.
Yeah.
No, okay. I'm just saying the animals have more character when they feel like their own little fucking people who are like mean to you because they're mean people and nice to you because they're nice people. And when you take away the meanness, it just kind of flattens them all into this one kind of character. God.
What's wrong, John? You're going red again.
Why do we have to do this?
Looks like you're crying a bit.
I am a little. Why can't you just leave me alone?
Maybe this was one of your children.
Maybe it was. I don't know anymore. But yeah, I feel like the animals have less personality because they're worried about scaring children, and like it's the same. Like they
fuck kids.
Yeah, fuck kids. Shouldn't be playing this game anyway. Animal Crossing is a game for adults. It's a game for sad, depressed adults. Okay. And yeah, I miss that spiciness from the game, and I think you do lose some of the personality in that. And I think they could do more with the villagers. I think considering how much people love these fucking villagers, I think it would be cool if they set you up on little quests that maybe last over days and tell a little story. I think there's a lot more they could do, and they didn't do that. And honestly, that's the side of Animal Crossing I would love to see expanded upon, except instead of like, you know, the island customization shit. So, you know, saying all this is the exact right time for this game to go. Good game. It's Animal Crossing. If you don't love Animal Crossing, this will not change that.
I think it's me. All right. So what goes in at number 24, which is the halfway point of our list?
Jeez.
Oh, whoa.
Okay.
If I remember last year, we spent like an hour getting from number like 40 to number 15, and then another hour and a half getting.
Oh yeah. This is where it's going to get personal.
I feel like we are now out of easy cuts.
Okay. Who's willing to die on a hill for Carrion?
Not at this point.
Yeah.
Like, realistically, I think Carrion's fucking cool.
Absolutely. I love this game.
Yeah, I think it's rad.
But, like, I'm kind of like... I'm looking at the games I like on this list, and Carrion is coming up now, and I'm like... I'm willing to let it go.
I like stuff about it. Like, I like that they describe it as a reverse horror, and you're this, like, mutant blob moving its way through a facility, like, to escape, to get free. But, it's pixel art, but it does pixel gore so well.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
it's so satisfying.
Flinging around bodies just feels so good. And
I
you're
love
like,
when you snap those little men in half.
Yeah, I know. I really like that it has that mixture of like a particle knock-on effect, especially when you slam through doors. Like, it's got a Hotline Miami kick to it. My kind of biggest problem with it was the level design all looks the same. It's this dark, dingy, red
fucking section.
Yeah, where you're going through like the same environment over and over, but it's not the same environment. It's all different, but it all looks the same.
Yeah,
because they didn't vary it enough.
I also feel like, I think like the reverse horror stuff is cool. I nearly feel like there's a sharper version of this game in there somewhere.
Yeah,
and because some of it just felt a little too mashy and floaty, like in the action scenes. But yeah, other than, like, I don't have many problems with the game other than that.
No.
This was made by a small indie team in Poland, and let's just say this is the best game from Poland this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I can't wait to see what else they do.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
I think they've done one other game called The Butcher, but like whatever's next, I'm fucking excited because this was really cool. I think if you like even Metroidvania style games, I think this is a super interesting take on search action.
Yes, absolutely.
Or even if you don't like them, I liked it specifically because the traversal was so easy because you're just you can just stick to walls.
Yeah. So like it didn't matter if you were like on the bottom of the ground or hanging off the ceiling because you just latch to the closest surface and just sort of kind of roll your way up there, which is kind of great for kind of going around from like map to map super quick until you need to know where you need to go. But that was a frustration as well. At least you weren't being held back by a slow, sluggish character, that you're this kind of really well optimized monster blob.
Yeah, Carrion fucking, it's a great game. Everyone should play it. It's on Switch. It's really cool.
It's on Game Pass as well.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Hell yeah. Neve.
Ooh, it's getting hard now.
Yeah.
I want to throw out some feelers on this one. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
This is one of the best games that came out this year by far. It is fucking excellent. It also came out like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thing with it. I was like, oh, it's so faithful. There's something about the original Tony Hawk's that it's missing. In the original Tony Hawk's had this cool vibe to it. Like just bled coolness. And maybe it's because I was young.
Do you know what I kind of think that is? The original Tony Hawk's was like, hey, look at this fucking thing. Look at what we can do. There's nothing else like this. Check out skate culture. Check out all this fucking music. Check out all this shit you didn't know about. And this game is like, hey, look, it's this thing again.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So yeah, there is a coolness to the originals that is not there. Now, that to me isn't really a slight on this game even, but like I have had some of the most fun I've had this year is playing this game, and like I have done that mall level, the downhill mall level, over and over and over because I just love it so much, and I keep trying to combo my way through the entire level, and I can't do it, and I don't think I'll ever be able to do it, but I just think it's fantastic. But yeah, like it's a different time and a place, and you know, it is a remake. I feel like that is something we've always taken into account on these lists.
And it is a very good remake.
I feel like the remake, I don't think there's anything more they could give you, you know? The best possible scenario for a Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 remake, it is this game.
I've not played it, but I'm getting it for Christmas off Santa Claus, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Great Christmas game. Like, just fucking hang it. Just have a good time. Just zone out. The soundtrack's awesome. Like, yeah. This is the first one that, like, I feel sad cutting. You know, like this is a cool game, but I think it's the right call. In at number 23. Oh, the tone's changing now, and we're like getting more reverence.
All right, it's my turn. I'm going to cut one of my games. I
don't think it is.
No, it's your turn.
Yeah,
it's your turn. Sorry. But I will be cutting one of my games. Don't worry.
Oh, jeez. Brian, how are you feeling about Ori and the Will of the Wisps?
It's my favorite Metroidvania I played this year. I need to go a bit further, please.
Neve, what do you be feeling about Inertial Drift?
I think it can go from here. As I said, it's a car arcade racer, and it got me to care about that and play it obsessively. It's lovely looking, but it is cars.
Its inherent weakness.
We don't know how to drive, or if we do, we forgot.
I'm not convinced cars like work personally.
We're all very good at walking, which is why we love Death Stranding.
I'm real bad at walking now. I smashed up my foot. It's real fucking bad. I can't run anymore.
Just like Death Stranding.
Oh. Man, that like road trip game where it just looked like there was lots of walking and cycling. I was like, this looks way better than Death Stranding. Inertial Drift seems cool, Neve. I think I'm going to play it over the holidays. Now, Brian.
John, before we start, could I ask you a huge favor? Could you close the window, please?
Yeah, it's gotten cold.
Yeah,
now.
it's gotten a bit chilly now, but don't worry, the heating will be kicking in soon.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Thank you so much, John. Super Eye Patch Wolf, everybody. Here to tell you what anime you should like and what anime not to like. And if you already like the anime and he tells you it's good, you get to feel really, really proud of yourself that you've already seen it. And you can send it to your friend Timmy and be like, see, Timmy, iPatchWolf likes it, so go fuck yourself.
But if you don't like it, you can go to your Discord and talk about what an asshole I am, and you will get so much street cred on anime Discords.
You will, yeah. That'll show them.
Yeah.
I used to like his channel before it blew up. Which is why I'm cutting a short hike. I didn't know how to segue into that one.
That was okay. That was smooth.
Yeah, a short hike. I think it's already come out. But okay, it came out on a system we could play this year. It came out on the Switch over the summer, and it's a hour and a half long game, and it's a gem. It's a real treat. You play as a little bird, and you're on an island, and you're on your holidays, and you need to make a phone call, and you need to go up to the top of the mountain in the middle of the island because that's the only place you can get a signal. And it is super chill. And I didn't play Animal Crossing this year, but this has Animal Crossing vibes in it. It's like, imagine an Animal Crossing world where it's not a life sim, but rather a like chill platformer. That's what this game is.
Is there like a story?
Yeah, but it's very bare bones, and you can kind of fill in the gaps. You're just playing as a little bird, and
is this something like best experienced by yourself, or could you play it with someone else?
You'd play it. I would play this game over the Christmas holidays on your own, and play it in one session. Do not break this game.
Don't be a wanker.
Do not break this. This is one you play in one sitting, and you have a real treat. It is a lovely little game. You make yourself a cup of tea. You have a chocolate bar. You settle down and you play this, and then afterwards you think about it and you have a big smile on your face because it's a lovely game, and I recommend everybody play it. And I'm a happy boy because I played this game.
Friends, the 21st best game that came out this year, A Short Hike. So it's worth noting that we're in the top 20.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Holy
now,
shit.
We have to say here, every game left is fucking cool. Okay, every one of them, there was one of us at least that believes strongly in it. Now we gotta rank them, which means some feelings are gonna get hurt. There's gonna be some scratches. There's gonna be some biting. It's gonna suck. But that's just the order of things. And we've also all had a couple of drinks at this point, and that may make things a little better or much worse.
There's gonna be some drooling.
Yep.
There's gonna be some ruling. And feelings.
But just let's remember that as friends, we can all get through this together.
Shut up, John.
Neve, make the first call.
Fuck
you! Fuck you, Neve!
Granblue Fantasy Versus.
Neve, okay. I'm someone who's your friend.
Okay.
I care about you deeply. You're your fucking own worst problem, okay? And shit like this is the reason that everyone hates you.
Granblue Fantasy Versus. Like, does it have the legs?
What if I offered you instead
Spelunky 2.
I believe Granblue Fantasy Versus deserves to be here over Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
No. Pick another game.
You pick another game. I already picked another game.
Okay, so you're not letting me cut Granblue.
Hyrule Warriors.
No, not yet.
Brian, we gotta make some tough decisions.
Yeah, and that's why we're cutting Bugsnax.
Nope.
And that's why we're cutting Deadly Premonition 2.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm not cutting it. I'm not cutting it yet.
Then offer something else, John.
Okay. Paradise Killer.
No.
Okay. You know what, guys? I got time. I can just sit here.
I think Granblue has to go, John.
It's the best fighting game that came out this year.
That doesn't say much. Like, none came out this year. Like, it was the one.
I love this game. I thought it was such a fucking cool game, and it got me back into fighting games. It got me back into competitive play. I thought each of the characters are really, really well done. I don't give a shit about Granblue. I think that looks like a really boring universe. I think they imagined it really, really well in this game, and I don't see why it should go over Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which is a fucking technical mess.
John,
Is it?
earlier on I asked, do you want to add a character from Granblue Fantasy Versus into Best New Characters? And you went, fuck no.
That's exactly why I said I don't give a fuck about Granblue Fantasy, but the game made these characters interesting. And no, I don't want to see another version of Gran in something else. But what Granblue Fantasy did with this, it's fucking cool. Like, these are Arc System Works-ified versions of these characters, and that makes me care, not the characters themselves.
So tell me about Hyrule Warriors.
Do you like games that run at 10 frames per second?
No. I also
Do you
don't
like the
Breath
story of Breath of the Wild?
Oh god, no.
It's my favorite Muso game I played this year.
It doesn't matter.
I'm 12 hours in. I'm having
Brian,
a great
which is
time.
better, this or Hyrule Warriors 1?
I love Impa and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. She's so much fun to play as.
But let's talk about Impa from Hyrule Warriors, who has biceps sleeve.
Okay.
Damn, thought that would work.
Who's Impa?
She's a Sheikah ninja warrior. She's cool. I'm really enjoying Age of Calamity. I like the stuff from 100 years ago. I really like the 4 champions. I like that they all have a dynamic with each other. Because in the original Breath of the Wild game, they only know the only way you know them is through Link. So it's just them talking to Link. But it's cool to see Mipha the Zora and Daruk the Goron talking to each other and knowing that they're training buddies. Mm-hmm. There's some fun missions. There's ones where there'll be the Guardians are going around and they're way too powerful to beat. So you have to lure them into certain areas of the map and then have them targeted and worn down that way. Halfway through the game you get the Master Sword and you can just obliterate hundreds of enemies in one sweep. Feels real good. I'm having a great time. It's a really fun Muso game. I'm willing to let it go if we let Granblue Fantasy Versus go as well.
Whose cut is it next?
It's your cut. No, sorry, it's Neve's cut.
So I'm cutting Granblue then.
Okay, so we're cutting Hyrule Warriors.
If Granblue is a 20, Hyrule Warriors is 19.
Well, one at a time. We'll
Neve, what do you take? It's Neve's cut.
Yeah, I agree.
So hang on. Is that the eulogy you want to give Hyrule Warriors at number 20?
No, at 20 is Granblue Fantasy.
No,
John,
what?
go be a saucy pup.
No, I don't accept this.
It's my cut. Granblue.
No, it was It was Brian's cut.
No,
it
it's
was
Neve's
my
cut.
cut. He was just talking about Hyrule.
Okay.
My cut is Granblue Fantasy.
Vetoed.
Why do you care about this shitty game so much?
Because it's so much better than Hyrule Warriors, which is a kind of bad game.
Hades.
Yeah, let's cut Hades then.
No.
John.
Okay, we can do that. Let's cut Part-Time UFO. Let's cut Resident Evil Remake 3.
How about we cut Streets of Rage 4? Oh, this is fun.
It's not. This is awful.
John,
I hate
cut
this.
Granblue.
John, come on now.
I think like
You'll get your turn.
Granblue is a game that does everything right. Hyrule Warriors is a game that does some things okay.
You can cut Hyrule Warriors next when it's your turn. It's my turn,
So-
and I'm cutting Granblue.
Okay. I will cut that. I will make you both pay later.
That's fine. We'll hang on
list
to that invoice.
in turns.
I just don't understand why you'd let a subpar game like Hyrule Warriors go like this.
It's my 6th favorite game this year. Just how it is. Thank you, John.
Shut the fuck up, Brian.
To the top 20.
Okay, so it's my turn.
Okay.
How about we cut Bugsnax?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
John?
Let me see here. I would say Ori and the Will of the Wisps instead of Bugsnax.
No.
Why?
Because I love that game.
I love Bugsnax.
Yeah, but it's my turn. Have you got another game that you'd like to offer instead of Bugsnax that you played, John?
Umurangi Generations. Or Paradise Killer.
Not Paradise Killer. I can see Umurangi going.
Umurangi's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about Yes Your Grace if you're going to go for an Eve game?
I'm just going for games. I'm not aiming at anyone. That's your game, Brian.
John, how about Spelunky 2?
No.
John, how about Deadly Premonition?
Okay, look, Brian, I can do that as well. Brian. How about fucking 13 Sentinels? See, I can do that too.
No, not yet.
No, I don't agree with that. No. But you know what? Like, I think I could lose Bugsnax here.
John!
Yeah, it's like, it is a really fucking cool game.
Fucking taking an arrow in the back with his shovel and smacking it stupid.
What? You guys are so mean. I remember why I hate doing this podcast. You're like a couple of mean children on a playground.
We're so cool.
We are. No one's happy about this.
I'm not happy. I'm fucking so done with this shit. This is the last episode of the podcast, everyone. Fucking enjoy. Oh, I remember it was like top 10 last year before we got salty, and like we're fucking there, and it's so bad. I'm gonna wait for silence so I can give the eulogy to this beautiful game.
I'm trying to drink my drink. Jesus Christ. Alright.
I feel the mood hasn't sufficiently mellowed yet. I'm gonna give it a couple more seconds.
No, dude.
Bugsnax is a game that a lot of people hate. I've seen a lot of people online not like Bugsnax, and I think those people are crazy. I love Bugsnax. It is a game where you go to a strange island and help a bunch of Muppets solve their emotional problems. It is not like Pokemon Snap. It's not even like Pokemon. It's just a fucking weird game where you try to capture tarantulas made of pizza. And I think that's really beautiful. But I think what got me about this game is that the writing was genuinely very endearing. And there's a lot of like unfolding the relationships. You basically hit this settlement of like Muppets, and the Muppets all want them to feed you Bugsnax. And the Bugsnax turn their limbs into different things. So if you feed them a Frider, which is kind of like a bucket of fries as a spider, it'll turn like their legs into sweet potato fries. And it has a nearly Cronenberg-esque horror to it as you just watch these creatures become less and less themselves. But the whole time you're like figuring out what they're wrong, and like there's these two what are they called? Grumpuses who live together, and one of them's like, I think we've been dating for 3 years, but I'm not sure, and I'm too scared to ask him. And then the other one's like, boyfriend? I don't need to answer that question. Everyone knows if I have a boyfriend. And it's like, oh shit, are they together? Are they not? It's great. And it's really funny, and it's got a lot of heart. It's a pain in the ass to play sometimes. The solutions to the puzzles aren't always fun. But like, it's cool. And the last like 30 minutes of this game, it takes a fucking turn. Like, some shit happens here, and it will stay with me for a long, long time. To me, this is the Gregory horror show of this generation. It's the like 6 out of 10 game that just stays with you forever, and I thought it was wonderful and beautiful, and I'm glad it made it this far. So that's Bugsnax at number 18. Number 17 is it my turn?
I don't know.
No, me neither. Who cut Bugsnax?
You did.
I think that was your turn.
Okay,
yeah.
Hang on. I think it was me. Okay. So Brian, your turn.
No, you played yourself.
Shut the fuck up, Neve. I swear to God, I'll come over this table so fast.
How much do you guys like Streets of Rage 4? I gotta know.
I mean a lot, but like we're in the area, it's going to get cut.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering because I don't want to cut one of mine this round. I'll do it another round for sure.
Oh, Brian doesn't want to cut one of his. What a shocking turn of events.
Yeah. Is Streets of Rage 4 good?
Yeah.
Oh, it rules. It's a really good game.
Streets of Rage 4 is really good.
Would it break into top 15?
I'd let it go.
What do you think, John?
I mean, I think I can let it go as well. Like, I really love this game. I think for Streets of Rage 4, when you think of what that is, Like, when you think of when Streets of Rage 3 came out and everything that has changed about games since then, Streets of Rage 4 is the best case scenario. It is a really good game, but like, it is on the harder difficulties that this thing really shines. And like, it's that same kind of feeling, Neve, you were talking about with Inertial Drift, where it's like, you are restarting the level because you just did it one fraction too far and you go back. And I got so into this game with my cousin, like co-op. It's beautiful. And like, it has some really great characters. It has some like a really diverse, interesting cast. I feel like Estelle she's nothing more than a boss, but I very nearly considered putting her on best new character because she is just that fucking cool, Estelle. I think I am happy to let it go if you're happy to let it go, Neve.
Yeah, I think the artwork of Streets of Rage 4 is beautiful. The character art is really nice. The backgrounds are lovely. It's a super fun game to play co-op with someone. I had a great time. I thought the last boss was a bit disappointing, and I thought some of the story stuff was disappointing. It felt like there was so much character visually, but they didn't get across much story, or they didn't use the comic book effect they had to great effect. It feels like there could have been an extra edge to it that it was just missing.
I think there could have been a genuinely fun story here. And even if not like a fun story, do some fun asides with those characters. Like, they're so fucking iconic. And the characters they added were great. I love the X-twins. I Estelle, of course, and like, Cherry Hunter. Like, there was a lot of cool shit going on here. And I think if this game doesn't go higher, it's just because it didn't lean into that cool shit enough. But I mean, for what it is, I think it's fantastic. So yeah.
Is it my turn?
It is your turn, Neve.
Okay, I'm going to cut Yes, Your Grace. Yes, Your Grace is a management sim. The people come to you and they go, Your Grace, wolves have eaten the villagers. We need a certain number of supplies to rectify this situation. I don't know why that would help, but that's what they want.
It works.
And you have 20 supplies and you have 20 gold. But there's also a banker who will give you 50 gold if you pay him back the next quarter. But there's also a witch you need to pay to do her job.
Not a witch.
And there's also an army that's coming over the mountain that's going to kill you. And what do? Well, you have 3 daughters. And a lot of people want to marry those daughters. But they do not want to be married off. So you have to consider all your resources and make decisions. It's just like, it's literally resource management, but so much character brought into it by the different kings and the different lords who want different things for you.
Why are you being like presented this information?
Pixel art. Beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous pixel art.
Yeah, it looks great.
With little characters that come in. And it's so good. It's tiny pixel art. Like, I'm playing on the Switch. Very tiny characters. The king faints from stress multiple times, and it's so funny to watch each time. He's just like, oh no, and he's just down. Little things start happening as well. There's a little, your little child daughter in it. She really wants a pet, so she like starts bringing in stuff from the garden. Like, she has a hedgehog, she has a snail, and there's just some really good humorous writing, and just the resource management is deep enough to have fun with it. Not so deep that you really feel the game would change so much narratively, but deep enough where you have to consider a lot of stuff. It is about an 8-hour experience, and it's like it's fun and it's tight, and the storytelling's nice.
Branching paths with it, or
to a certain degree, you can choose to help people and they'll come back into it. You can choose. There's a type of drug in it, like called dust, and one lord wants you to sell it, and another lord thinks it's evil and you should ban it from the country. And it's like, whose power do you want more? There's another person you meet, and he tells stories about all the amazing animals and mythical creatures he's killed. Then another knight comes and says he's a liar and he's no good to you. So whose side do you want to take? And while all of this is happening, the first marriage you had with your daughter to a king's son, the king is murdered at that. So you also have to figure out information from all the lords to solve a murder.
This sounds fucking cool.
It is cool. It's like, I've played maybe 2 hours every night before bed, and I was like, like just caught up with it. Like, it's a good little mystery. It's, as I said, nothing seems like it would change too much if you picked drastically different things. Like, it seems kind of, it would be aesthetic nearly. are smaller changes, and maybe it would change dramatically, but I didn't get that feeling from it. But the writing in it is tight and it's funny, and the pixel art's lovely.
I think I'll have to check that out. That sounds fantastic.
There's a lord who's an artist and he wants to buy all your paintings, but later you find out he burns them out of jealousy. But do you need his soldiers that you will sell your daughter's paintings to him that you know he's burning?
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd say go for it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's me. There's been a game on this list that I've been eyeing this whole time, and I've been thinking about this for weeks, and I've been like, I am not letting this game go higher than number 15. Yakuza 7.
Really? That is not what I expected you to say at all.
No. Guys, I got a fucking bone to pick.
Okay.
I think Yakuza 7 is a decent Yakuza game and a terrible RPG. I think the combat in this game sucks ass. And on top of that, there's stuff I really don't like about this story. I think Ichiban is a really cool character. I really, really like him. I want to experience his story. The problem is I want to experience his story. I don't care about this fucking soapland out in fucking nowhere. I don't care about the homeless doctor. I don't even care about the angry woman. I just don't care. And it's like the game spends the first 3 hours building up this big, complicated narrative about Ichiban and all this kind of stuff. And then it literally ships him into a car, drives him many miles away from that story where another story starts. And I don't give a shit, you know? It's like I want to go back to the original story, and I don't want to have to wade through 60 hours of game to get back there, you know? And of course it's going to tie in eventually, but I just don't like the structure of the story. I don't think that works. But on top of that, most Yakuza games are 30 to 40 hours, depending on, how many side quests you do, and it can be way longer than that. And this one is way longer. I've heard this can be anywhere from 60 to 80 hours, and I really feel like that stretch in quality is felt. I feel like the cinematics are so much fewer and far between. The quality of the cutscenes is so much worse, and there's stuff that's really ill-considered about it. There's this new... I think they introduced this system in Judgments, but it's basically when you're Xing through dialogue, it doesn't skip you to the next line of dialogue. It skips you to the next line of dialogue and animation. So when you're just Xing through nothing dialogue, you can actually miss a visual gag. So I was playing it and there was a bit where Ichiban grabs someone's phone and throws it out of a moving car. I actually missed that joke because I was Xing through the dialogue and it cut past that piece of animation. I do not know how they are this far into that series and they make a fucking design decision like that. And so I don't X through anything, so I just sit there waiting for all the different stuff to end. And I don't like it. I think the combat is terrible. I think for me the mark of a bad RPG is when it boils down to just attacking, healing. And I get that you can use elemental damage to end a fight quicker. I get that you can buff your guys. It never felt critical to me. And what's worse is it has this position based combat that is not position based at all. It is you can't have any control over your character's movement. You can only choose the type of attack they choose. So what I'm often waiting to do is I'm waiting for two enemies to shuffle into a line so I can get them, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And if you watch that, I think the do you know that the YouTube channel that does the Japanese gaming documentaries, and they're really well done?
Archipel.
If you watch the Archipel documentary on it, they talk about how the combat system was implemented in 11 months before the game shipped.
It was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah. And it fucking feels like that. And I don't think this is a bad game. This is the most disappointed I have been with a game this entire year. And it's a fucking bummer. And I'll probably spend more time with it, and maybe it's a Red Dead situation where I'll come back at it the other end. But I've spent 20 hours with this game, and I spent way more of that than I'd bored. And I know this is going to piss people off. I know we have a lot of Yakuza fans in our audience. But I just have to be real. I am so fucking disappointed with this game.
I like this game. And I like the battle system. It's what brought me to Yakuza. I hate the beat 'em up style of the old combat. I just thought it was boring. Like, I just thought it was dull.
It's not your thing.
And it just takes a long time to get through.
I feel like this takes so much longer.
I think for me, the RPG mechanics, they are like thin. Like I told you this before, that I think it's kind of like Persona 5 combat, where you just need to get stronger. Like, there isn't a lot of tactics involved.
That's true. Like with Persona 5, like, I think it feels satisfying to manipulate the enemy's weaknesses. Like, there is a layer on top of attacking and healing that is not in this game. Well, knocking them down and like elementals and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's something, and I agree with you. I don't think that's the best combat system at all. I think there's more than there is here.
I think there's like,
and the battles are brief.
Some like buffs and buff stuff that you can use in Yakuza 7. I don't like how it's all like gender locked to an extreme way. I hate that the jobs are gender locked.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't like that, like, the way they've modeled the different characters and different outfits, I think looks like shit.
Yeah, it's not particularly good. I've put like Ichiban and a lot of the characters in the day one Yakuza outfits instead, because the ones they give you are kind of shitty.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I like the story enough in the sense that I like Ichiban, I like Adachi, I like Nanba, like, I like the characters that he's meeting, and it does feel slow burny. It feels like very small right now. It's a very small world that you're engaged with, and you can see the tendrils, you know, stretching out to the wider conspiracy that you will get to eventually.
And I know it's coming, and, you know, I could see myself turning around, but just... it's such a bummer. Like, and like, I agree with you. Like, I do like some of those characters, and like, you know, I can kind of appreciate the sort of you're kind of like a squad of little crime fighters, but man, it just, whenever I think about going to play this game, I just feel like, oh.
It does seem bloated. Like, I find that I'm in random battles way too much.
Yeah. To
the point that I'm crossing the road to avoid a random battle all the time, and it's like, I like...
And like, you know, as someone who liked the Yakuza combat, I was just rolling through battles because I liked kind of, you know, messing around with the different moves and experimenting with the styles and stuff. I am avoiding battles as much as possible here, and I hear that later on there's a big difficulty spike and grinding becomes like necessary, and it's like, oh, I don't know if I know you're very passionate to take it out now, but I would have, for me, this would have gone further. Like, I'm not finished with the game. I'm probably about where you are, where I'm around 20 to 30 hours in. I put a lot of time into it, and I like these characters, but I'm also like, I'm not like enamored with it. I was like, if this is the Yakuza game I'm going to get into, it's probably because of the RPG mechanics, just because I don't like the other type of battle system. And like, a lot of people love this game. Like, it's gotten a lot of good press. I've heard a lot of people on other podcasts very passionately for it. But for me, it's such a letdown.
To me, it has a bit of an identity problem in terms of kind of what it's saying. Like, sometimes it's very empathetic to, like, you know, like the homeless and stuff, and then other times it kind of makes a big joke out of them as well, and I never really find where the tone is sometimes. And
yeah,
I think maybe this is just a Yakuza problem as well, where a lot of the time situations are dealt with physically besting someone else. Like, I will beat you, and then you will see the error of your way.
See, that makes sense to me in previous Yakuza games, because they were so focused on one-on-one encounters. And it was like, I feel really strongly about this, you feel really strongly about this other thing, let's show our will physically, let's have a fight. And there is a certain amount of narrative sense to that if you're willing to buy into this universe. But Ichiban and his kooky clan of crazy people, like, that, I feel like you completely lose that when it's like a party of people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's some stuff like, an example, a homeless man makes a shelf for a little boy, and then his dad dumps the shelf and is like, get away from my son, you horrible homeless person. And then you're just like, that's shit, don't be like that. And you beat the shit out of him. And then it's just like, it's okay, he wasn't actually bad, he's just stressed because his wife died. And it feels like there's a lot of this where there's no really like bad people, or the institution or the world isn't failing these characters. It's just kind of like everyone's a little misunderstood, and you just need to fight the right person and to make them understand, and then the world would be a better place. So it's kind of touch on all this kind of working class stuff, and like a lot of it works, like Ichiban being kind of raised in soaplands and stuff like that. And then a lot of it doesn't work because, you know, oh, well, there's no structural like issues here. It's just a misunderstanding. Let's fight and then shake hands. And I find that like kind of sometimes doesn't gel with what it's trying to do.
I think that works really well when like looking at the interpersonal relationships of like manly men in Yakuza organizations, much less so when you try and apply it to like a wider spread structure like capitalism.
It's true. And like I was watching a documentary about this, and like the creators were just like, we're making a game for Japanese older men, and like your party is literally men in their 40s and they're older Japanese guys. So there's like a lot of sexism as jokes in this, and like, you know, like I hate that the female character is the idol who falls down and is like, ooh, and then that's the debuff. You know, I think that's lame and boring, but also going in knowing who this game is kind of designed for in terms of older Japanese men who want to play shogi on the side, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't
it's weird as well
me.
because like Yakuza has such a massive female audience as well.
Yeah,
but I hear you.
I don't know. I'm lukewarm on this game, but I'm way warmer than you, and I felt like this could be the Yakuza that I got into the most because I like these characters.
I think like what I would like if I step back from like my disappointment with like the turn-based battles and all this kind of stuff, there is something very particular that I love about Yakuza, and it is that idea of like clash of wills, and like, you know, I feel like there is a lot of kind of stuff where it talks like Yakuza's never been great to like its female characters ever, and this game doesn't change that. I think Yakuza does explore masculinity in some really interesting ways, and that's always been very compelling to me. Both those things I feel are much less so this time around. And both those things were things that really mattered to me, and like, you know, the reason that, you know, Zero is like close to my game of the generation, and I don't need Yakuza 7 to be Zero. I really, really don't. I just don't think that the things it does differently, it does well.
I hear you. There's nothing else you'd cut.
So
is there anything I'd give up for
I
it?
feel passionately that this needs to be the one to go now.
Okay.
But I feel like a couple of games I feel like the next couple of games, I can see Dreams going, I can see Ori going,
yeah.
I can see...
Look, Yakuza Like a Dragon. Let's let it go. I am not finished this game yet, and I'm going to keep playing it. Ichiban is very endearing to me, and for some reason I just really like Adachi. I don't know why. Like, I just really like Adachi.
He's got a nice jacket.
Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling you'd like him.
Yeah, I don't know. He appeals to me for some reason. When the humor works, it's on point. When it misses the mark, it misses the mark. But it's never so egregious that I'm horrified by it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, it's never so bad that I'm like, fuck this.
Another part of it that does sting me a little bit is there's an especially noticeable amount of asset reuse in this. I am seeing so many models and animations from other Yakuza games.
They make a game annually at this point, don't they?
Yeah, and I like, to me, this is when it's starting to show. Like,
this is probably the only way they can do that.
It fucking sucks. Like, to me, this is the moment where a series you love stops being for you, and that is where a lot of my kind of disappointment with this comes in. I hope that I come back next year and I'm like, guys, let me tell you, I played Yakuza 7 over Christmas, and it was fucking amazing.
Okay, it's my turn.
Oh, that was hard. I'm tired now.
That's okay. It was one of the first bandages that had to be ripped. I'm going to cut Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Okay.
This is my fourth favorite game this year. It's my favorite Metroidvania, aka search action game.
Is that what we're calling them now? Search action?
Yeah, Brian, you're really pushing search action. What about Pathfinder?
Oh, that sounds way worse.
Search action does not make me think of a Metroidvania. It's like, it makes me think of like Metal Gear 5 or something.
What the fuck is Metal Gear 5?
Search action.
No, that's Sneak.
What about Path Action Search Finder?
That sounds like a book my mom would read.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and it's got like a fucking compass, and then it also has like a fucking sand timer, like an egg timer.
And like on the blurb, there's like, it's all kind of dark, but like a rosary bead in the background.
Yeah, and it's got like an Irish Times review with 4 stars and goes, really challenges it. Like, just... You know exactly what Neve's got her face in her hand. That's a real thing. Ori and the Blind, or Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Ori and the Blind.
Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is the follow-up to Ori and the Blind Forest. This came out on Microsoft systems at the beginning of the year, and then came out on the Switch later on after the summer. And I really, really enjoyed it. Gameplay is super tight, and it's a huge improvement from the previous game.
You were kind of lukewarm on the previous game.
I really liked it, but I found the gameplay could be a bit... like sometimes you try and land Ori, the main character you play as, you try and kind of land him nice and neat on a platform, and he'd kind of like fumble a little bit. But I think with this, like, he's really way more refined. And there's a triple jump in this game, and then a 4th jump by using a projectile to launch yourself forward, and all of that just kind of goes 1, 2, 3, 4, just like leads one into the other super organically.
Cool.
It's really it plays like I wouldn't change anything about the gameplay. It's so good. Game's 10 hours long. Does the momentum really well. You've got the set pieces where you have to like run from a flood or whatever, or a big lava eruption, and it has these quiet moments as well, and they all feel earned, and they're all paced and timed super well. The big thing about this as a Metroidvania is that the areas you explore are very different to each other, and this was a problem I had with Carrion and Minoria. Is that with Ori and the Will of the Wisps, you and your owl buddy go to a new island, and it's a new location, but it's divided into different locations, like a tropical underwater paradise, snowy mountains, this dry desert temple, and this dark underground insect hive, and they're all completely different color palettes and layouts to each other. And you have to use different kind of gameplay for them, because the underwater tropical paradise, you're swimming. And there was swimming in the previous game, but in this one they've really added more gameplay into the swimming, and it's pretty much its own game at that point.
Right, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Where would you rank something like this with, say, a Tropical Freeze?
It's as good as Tropical Freeze.
Fuck. Okay.
No, like it's a really good game.
Okay.
And then when you're in the underground insect hive, you have to use light, and so you have to time it so that your jumps match with these little fireflies, otherwise you're going to get sucked into the darkness. So it does have these cool set pieces that relate to the area, and they're only used in that one area, and so they kind of stand out from each other that way.
Cool.
As well, I love the visuals of the game. It looks like concept art that never got changed by a boardroom. Like the drawings that were done at the beginning,
it's a good way of describing it,
that have that kind of passion and energy are carried through to the final product. Like the game is beautiful, and it starts off all super cute, like a picture book, kind of like a children's picture book, but the ending is genuinely sad. And it does a really great story of kind of like, you have Ori who's an orphan, but Ori is a spirit as well, but there's kind of a found family between Ori, the owl, and then these two parent figures, and you're not sure if they're a mum or dad, or a mum or a mum, or a dad or dad. Doesn't matter. They're just kind of these two parental roles that they play, and because the two kids go off to the island without telling the parents have to go after them, and so there's this misunderstanding between the family, and it pays off in a really, really sad way. And it's cool that they made a sequel to this game. I don't think they'll make a third game with the way they kind of finish it up, but it was cool to kind of see another chapter of this, even if it is super sad. But yeah, it's a fantastic game.
Cool. That's well said, Brian. Neve?
What number are we at?
We are at number 13.
Deadly Premonition 2.
I think that's fair. Like, look, I can't defend Deadly Premonition. Like, it is a fucking mess. It is a technical disaster. It's like they went back in time and made a game way shittier than Deadly Premonition 1. Yes. I can't tell you the amount... like that first sequence when you're walking up the stairs and the frame rate is shitting the bed. The animation is like, it's like all the characters are made of ice. It's awful. It's so bad. And there was one sequence in this game where the game glitched out, and all of a sudden I was skateboarding like below the ground, and eventually I managed to skateboard out of bounds, and then I was in the middle of the ocean skateboarding across the ocean against a full moon, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and it was completely unintentional. This is a broken game in so many ways, and I loved it. I thought it was great. You play as Agent York Morgan, you visit this little Louisianan town, and it's all shitty and it looks terrible, and it has so much life and character, and I really loved spending time there. The combat is terrible in the game. It's really, really bad. There's only about 3 hours of it in about a 20-hour game. This is one of those games where like there is a lot of heart to it. There is problematic stuff in there. Like, it is unambiguously like transphobic, and I'm not going to defend that. I think like the fact that I feel like where its transphobia comes from like being misguided as opposed to directly hateful, there's only so much that can excuse, and I think there's still, even post-patch, just complete like oof moments in it, and like I think it's important to people know that going in. I did enjoy it. It was a big escape for me this year, and the ending is some of the stupidest, craziest bullshit I have ever played. I don't want to say what it is because it ties into things we've talked about earlier in the conversation, and I can't stand another round of ridiculing. Does
it get hard?
It's a giant child.
Oh wow, a big boy.
It's a very stupid special game, and I love it. But the idea that it climbs this high is kind of insane, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to let it go. So that's Deadly Premonition 2. How much you're going to get out of this game is directly related to how much technical bullshit you're willing to put up with. And if it's not a lot, you will not get far in this game.
Mm-hmm. It's a game I feel like I'll revisit eventually, but I put it on and I was like, oh, fuck no.
Yeah, like I was...
like, this is just too much bullshit even
I was
for me.
shocked. When you get past, like, the first 2 hours, I guess you get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, the shock of that first scene and just the facial animation and the anti-aliasing, it's terrible. But yeah, I love it. I like this game a lot. My turn?
Yeah.
For me, this comes down to Dreams or Paradise Killer.
I feel like Paradise Killer should go further. See, the problem is I haven't finished Paradise Killer. I'm I'm near the end of it, and I'm very intrigued by this murder mystery. You play as Lady Love Dies. She is an exiled investigator, and she has to go back to the paradise to investigate a mass murder behind closed doors, and she needs to talk to interesting high fashion characters like a burning skull who wears pants. Like,
big fan of Shinji personally.
Yeah,
weird
the weird
blue,
dog,
cube-headed wolf demon.
There he is.
A sexy priest. Just like there's like really interesting characters in it. And that's what's interesting about it, is speaking to these characters, determining their alibis, if someone can corroborate that kind of information.
What about Umurangi Generations?
I like Umurangi Generation because tonally it's so good, but honestly, it could probably go. There's frustrations there, but there's also frustrations with Paradise Killer. You are given multiple people across a map that you have to go question, but getting there is a fucking chore.
Yeah.
Like, it is a visual novel / 3D investigative
It's
game.
not that big a deal because you can turn it off, but the voice acting... But you can turn it off.
Yeah, there's weird audio clips that will play while different dialogue is even happening, so
it's not the dialogue
strange.
that's being displayed on screen.
Yeah.
It's like different dialogue, and that did a lot to really hurt my first little bit with the game. I don't feel I'm far enough into the game to really have a proper opinion on it. I really didn't like it initially, and then I started to warm to it kind of quickly in a way I wasn't expecting. So I think this is your game to cut, Neve. Like, you seem to feel pretty
If I
passionately
have to
about
pick
it.
between Paradise Killer and Umurangi
Or Dreams.
or Dreams,
To me, like, those are the next 3 games.
okay, I'll cut Paradise Killer.
Okay. So that's Paradise Killer.
I think it's definitely worth trying. This is like, its aesthetic is so, it's so committed to it, and I can only describe it as neon infused Satanism meets, I don't know, slice of life. Like, it's pink and gore.
I was like a little concerned with the first area, because the first area is like it's a vaporwave screensaver, and I was like, oh shit, is this it? And then when I got down to the island, I was like, okay, no, we're doing stuff.
Great opening where you have to jump off the platform and fall back down to the island.
What's your favorite part of Paradise Killer, Neve? Like, what's a part where you were like, this fucking
I just
goes?
like the vibe. Like, I like how so committed to the vibe it is. Like, the loading screen just is like palm trees. Just the character writing is very good, and I like how you can needle the characters into giving you information, or just how if you go off the beaten track a little bit, which you will end up doing a lot because the exploration is kind of weird, you can find really cool, interesting places. And I think the environmental design and the work gone into it is cool and unique. I think there isn't a lot to find, but when you do find it, it's kind of special. Getting to those characters, kind of difficult, kind of annoying, but the character writing is super strong when you do get there, and they're all super antagonistic to you, except for one girl who has a wolf head for a face, wolf deer face, and she's pretty nice. But I kind of like that you can kind of gather all this information and go at it at your own pace. Like, you can decide who you want to talk to. You can also decide when you have enough information and when you want to start the trial. Like, you can just be like, well, I don't like you, and I've got enough information to maybe pin this all on you. So it's kind of like the game ends only when you're satisfied with the kind of
weird. That's
narrative,
cool.
because you can go at any time and trigger the kind of, you know, Ace Attorney style trial system. So I think there's a lot to it, but I really want to get to that trial because I think that's, you know, where the meat of
game.
This, that's like what I'm building up to, and I haven't got to it yet. So
is there multiple trials or just the one?
Just the one trial, but you can go at it.
It plays like
time.
Danganronpa.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So it
but
feels
they
like
are very different games.
Yeah. So it feels like there's like multiple different ways for this to play out, depending on who you want to pin it on, or if you feel like you've successfully figured out who did it.
Sure.
Brian. Okay, so a distinction we need to make for the next 2 is one of them is going to be in the top 10 games of this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would personally say it should be Dreams. But Neve, you are also very passionate about Umurangi Generations.
Why is it down to these 2?
Because it's 11 and 10. Well, you can throw more games in there.
Yeah, let's get rid of 13 Sentinels.
No.
Nope. Brian just looked at me.
Go on, Neve, say it.
What cut is it?
I know what you're looking. I know that game you're looking at. You should just say it, Neve. I dare you.
What one do you think I'm looking at?
In fairness, Brian, I feel like there's like 5 games that she could be talking about.
Why is it my cut?
No, it's Brian's.
Yeah, it's Brian's.
I thought it was John's.
I don't think so. I cut Yakuza 7, Brian cut Ori.
I feel like I was
cut
tricked.
Deadly Premonition, I cut Paradise Killer.
Okay, then
So that was my cut, and you were just mostly talking.
Then I'm just gonna cut Dreams. It's come up already, so it doesn't make it into the top 10, unfortunately. Unless you want to put another game forward.
I mean, I would put Umurangi forward, but if you're not feeling that, Neve, I can live with Dreams at number 11. I just think Dreams is such a special game.
I think Umurangi needs to get into top 10. I don't know, Umurangi Generation is a really cool world photography game, low poly. Like, it speaks to me on a, you know, a very personal level in terms of it's a photography game. A lot about it. It is just creating cool compositions, but it also tells a story through its environmental design. It's like a cyberpunk fucked up world that you're slowly revealing as you explore with your camera. And it's just like just such a cool vibe from it. I know, John, you had extremely bad motion sickness with it.
Yeah, and like I don't want to put this down to the game, like, because I looked at that game and I couldn't identify, because like if it was like they had put motion sway in it and you couldn't turn it off, I would be more happy to just be like, well, that's fucking shit. I don't think there is any sway in this game. I don't know what it is about it, but I played it for 30 minutes and I had to go lie down in a dark room. Like, I got so sick and I don't know why that was. I don't think that needs to stand as like a detraction from this game, because I haven't heard of anyone else experiencing that, and I think it's just a really unlucky case. And I liked what I saw of it, so yeah, that sucked. But if you feel like I do feel passionately that Dreams is one of the coolest games this year for sure, but I'm wondering, do I feel stronger about Dreams than you feel about Umurangi Generations? And I'm getting the feeling I don't. Because like what Brian does says...
I like Dreams as well. Like, I feel like Dreams is a special weird thing, and I had so many weird experiences with it. Like, I played as Norman Reedus in a game where I discovered Hideo Kojima's giant floating head. Like, it was just like, you can literally type in the words Hideo Kojima and play 7 to 100 fan games about that man.
I did a stream this year where I played Dreams a lot, and it was one of my favorite streams I did. But we played Don't Hug Me or Please Hug Me over and over and over, and it got to the end where I was playing Fred Durst's Behind Blue Eyes and trying to get the people to hug me, and none of them would. And the stream chat was like, John, why are you still doing this? I think that's a special game.
I think Dreams should get into the top 10. Let's cut Umurangi Generation then, if there's nothing else anyone I don't know, like Hades, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, this is gonna be a fucking bloody top 10.
I don't know. Fine, just do Umurangi.
Umurangi Generations, the number 11 best game this year.
Aww.
I think it's coming out for Switch soon.
It is, yep. I can't wait to play it.
Play it on Switch.
It's gotta look.
Man, Paradise Killer and Umurangi going out. Something. Oh, I feel like I fucked up.
Weird. It was... Sorry, I have after fucking this up. Give me 1 sec.
You have fucked everything up.
I do that. It's sometimes you select it's tricky.
He was pushing it down a cell.
And Dreams. So, Brian, Umurangi was technically yours?
Yep.
And then, so now Neve number 10 is yours.
Okay, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
No. No fucking way.
It's gotta be Dreams then.
Dreams.
Number 10, Dreams. Neve, what was your favorite Dreams game?
The Norman Reedus one I played. I don't remember the fucking name of it. It was the weirdest fucking thing I've ever played. I can't believe a person made that game. Like, it was weird.
I want to give a special shout out to Ball World Adventure.
Ball World is really good.
Oh, I played a lot just of Resident Evil games.
Oh, some of them were so fun and
very
stupid.
Good.
Yeah.
I love how people not model Nemesis. It's very fun.
Okay.
Do you guys want to do a countdown of where we are?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Because we're about to hit the top 10. We have a 10, but we'll do a top 10 formally.
Okay. I'll start at 46.
Yes.
So at 46, we got Ninjala. 45, Kentucky Route Zero. 44, Fall Guys. 45, Tamashi. 42, Genshin Impact. 41, Inmost. 40, Watam. 39, Dark Pictures Anthology. Little Hope. Number 36, Crusader Kings. Number 37, Superliminal. 36, Minora. 35, Eichenfell. 34, Panzer Paladin. 35, Lonely Mountain Downhill. 32, One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. 31, Teardown. Take it away, Neve.
30, Super Mario Bros. 35. 29, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. 28, Visage. 27, Mortal Shell. 26, A Summer's End, Hong Kong 1986. 25, Animal Crossing New Horizons. 24, Carrion. 23, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. 22, Inertial Drift. 21, A Short Hike. Brian?
Okay, number 20, Granblue Fantasy Versus. Number 19, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Number 18, Bugsnax. Number 17, Streets of Rage 4. Number 16, Yes, Your Grace. Number 15, Yakuza 7. Number 14, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Number 13, Deadly Premonition 2. Number 12, Paradise Killer. And number 11, Uramangi Generation.
I think our number 20 to 11 is actually our top 10.
Do you want to just flip them and be done?
Yeah, we just don't need to assign numbers to the other 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So there's 9 games left on the list if we're putting Dreams at number 10.
Okay.
Do we just want to say these games out loud in no particular order?
Okay.
3 each.
In alphabetical order. 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Hades.
If Found, Paper Mario, The Origami King, Part-Time UFO.
And then the last 3 are Resident Evil 3 Remake, Spelunky 2, and The Last of Us Part 2.
I have a feeling this is going to be really rough. Like, there's no nice way this list can go.
No. Oh, is this what you people want?
Is this what you want? Is this what you... Here's your fucking podcast. Every fucking stream. When's Let's Fight a Boss coming back? When's Let's Fight a Boss coming back? Every fucking Twitter reply. Every Instagram post. Every YouTube comment section. Here it is. Here's your stupid video game podcast. You bottomless vultures.
Please enjoy.
Yeah, please enjoy. And thank you so much to our patrons as well. We really appreciate it.
That's patreon.com/LFAB.
Patreon.com/LFAB.
If you chip in $3 or more, you get invited to the Discord, and there's a lovely group of people there. Lovely community over the past 3 months when there's been complete silence from us. They've been keeping it going.
Yep. Just, beautiful little community. A lot of very positive people on there, especially some of the kind of like sub-networks of it. Just... Very good.
Yeah, I think a few of them have gotten a bit lost, but don't worry, they'll find their way back to the right place.
And I think...
The milk current always flows.
I have taken so many people from the milk cult, Neve. So many people.
They think they have moved
they
on.
Did
they
it
have not.
willingly.
No.
No. They'll always come back to the milk.
Mother's milk.
Let's quote Resident Evil 3 Remake.
No. Let's quote Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Absolutely not.
Why?
Neve, you were disappointed in Remake.
I was disappointed in Remake because Resident Evil 2 is to me one of the best games of the generation, and Resident Evil 3 Remake had a lot to live up to, and it didn't reach the heights of...
Okay, clearly we're at an impasse.
Yeah.
Paper Mario.
No.
13 Sentinels.
No.
Why?
Because it's cool.
No, it's some fucking anime bullshit.
Hey, don't talk about anime like that.
Brian, I just want to let you know that I think 13 Sentinels is really cool.
Thanks,
now,
John.
let's get back to talking about Resident Evil 3 Remake.
I see what he did there, and it worked.
No, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
No.
I think Final Fantasy VII Remake is a fucking nightmare game. Like, it has no reverence for what made the original good or special or nice or sweet. It's just a fucking horny waifu simulator that is over padded with tunnels and reused enemies over and over
my
again.
Language.
It's just it's soulless and sad. Like, it's a sad Final Fantasy game for 16-year-old boys who go, there's like literal characters who will meet Cloud and they'll go, wow, Cloud, your meat is so big and so strong and so special. No wonder a girl like Tifa likes you. Like, every fucking comment is just about the girls and how much they like Cloud. These characters were good, fleshed out people. They were interesting female characters, and now they're just horny noises. Like, it's just boring. It's sad juvenile writing, and it ruined a good Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy VII Remake is my god.
So let's talk about The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
I mean,
The Last of Us Part 2 is genuinely a console marvel in how well that game runs and looks. Like, it is gorgeous looking. Final Fantasy VII doesn't look that nice.
I think technically The Last of Us 2 runs very well. When I think of it, I think of the same grey, green, brown art direction that I feel like has dominated AAA games for the longest time. I think it's a really...
I don't think that's true. I think you go down into the spore area that's lit completely in red with a whole pile of broken train carts, and it's just red lighting with the spores floating through the air.
That bit's cool.
That's really cool. I think like climbing up the skyscraper as Abby, as you're afraid of heights, is really cool. I think a lot of the locations are visually different, like to the point that once a new location came around, I was like in photo mode instantly.
Well, if we're comparing the two, I would say that I feel like the gameplay of Last of Us 2 it's a PS3 game. Like, it's the same cover shooter shit that we've been experiencing fine. It's a good version of that. It is nothing different. I feel like Final Fantasy VII's battle system is fucking incredible. Like, I love the battles in that game. I would go so far to say as I think the battles in that game are better than the original Final Fantasy VII, and that was my favorite battle system up until that point. I thought it was phenomenal.
I think that battle system's fun. I think the enemy types that you're given to fight against are consistently reused to the point of tedium. Like, I know how to beat a sweeper. Like, I know what elements to use now. There was very few moments where I feel the battle system got to shine because the characters, the enemies were just easy to beat. I didn't feel pushed. I think The Last of Us Part 2, while it is a cover shooter, it had some fantastic boss fights that really pushed it, and giving the two characters Ellie's like nimbleness made it feel very flighty and very run based, and you had to move a lot. And I think if you watch people who can do it well and try and emulate that yourself, you can like dive out windows, throw molotovs, slide. Like, you can make a brutal dance out of that combat if you're willing to put it into it, kind of thing.
Or you can just sit behind cover and shoot.
Same with Final Fantasy VII Remake. You can just mash X. Like, you don't have to be on top of that battle.
You will lose 100%. Like, those god battles, you try and do that, you would get annihilated. And even with a lot of the boss battles in that game, I don't think that's true at all.
I think you find out what element you need to spam, and then you spam that element. Like, I think you can make that battle system as interesting or as boring as you want in a similar way that you can with The Last of Us Part 2.
See, I don't agree with that. Like, I don't think that is true about that battle system. Okay. How about the other games?
I don't think you get enough materia as well. I don't think you get enough interesting stuff.
I actually found that each new materia, like, it had me experimenting with it and combining it with other materia in really interesting ways. And like the way they kind of overlap with the skill system, like Tifa's spheres, I thought that was so fucking cool. Like, I just found like right up until the last battle, I was finding new ways to discover. Like, I thought Eris's shield was shit right up until the end, and then like I realized, oh wait, if I use this fucking super massive attack that's been fucking me up this entire battle, I can render it useless. Like, I kept finding cool shit like that.
Yeah, this isn't going to be fun.
No, this is going to suck.
I don't know. I think Final Fantasy VII Remake was the biggest disappointment for me as a game.
See, I had no expectations for it. I didn't think it was
You
going to be good.
had no expectations going in as a Final Fantasy fan?
I looked at it and I was like, this looks like Final Fantasy 15. Like, you can go back and listen to those podcasts. And then, like, the moment I started getting excited was when the demo came out.
I was excited after the demo as well because I thought the battle system was interesting. But I'm just so disappointed by the writing in it. It feels so juvenile to me. And I think, I don't know, the Final Fantasy VII came from an era where that writing was good and impactful, and I don't like what they turned it into. I think they turned it into a really generic, tropey-filled game.
How about the writing in The Last of Us Part 2?
I think it's a mixed bag. It's a hugely mixed bag.
Because parts of it work and parts of it don't, from what I've read about it.
Yeah. There are great moments of writing. I think, like, Abby and Lev's relationship is so nice and cute, and it feels like two people really coming to know each other, like, realistically over the point. I think that game does relationships really well. I think it fails on individual characters, like, by themselves. Like, with the exception of Lev, there wasn't anyone like I enjoyed in that game or wanted to spend more time with. Not to say there wasn't good writing behind it, because like people like Abby is a good character. I felt like with Ellie's whole character arc, I feel like we took like 30 hours to be like revenge is bad.
Yeah, I think like honestly Ellie kind of falls down as the weakest character compared to Abby. And I think that's nearly by design. I think the game wants you to like Abby more, so it gives her more room as a person, and it's trying to make you like her more because you don't have a relationship with her yet.
Yeah.
So it does like way more interesting vignettes, like way more interesting character stuff to jump off, where Ellie's very like miserable for the whole thing kind of thing. So I think when you jump from Ellie to Abby, that contrast is there. I think a problem I had with the writing is I feel like so much of the character development is done via flashback, like so much of it. And I think if this game
to explain all their motivations,
just to even explain the motivations and the emotional like punch of something. Like a character will die, and then like an hour later you'll get the flashback where it's like, look how much they liked him, or look how great a guy he was, and it's just like, well, he's dead now, I don't care. You know what I mean? It was very It felt really contrived the way a lot of these characters were humanized in flashbacks rather than in the moment-to-moment story. And I think that was a big failing. I don't like the flashbacks at all in it, and I think they feel like a writing crutch. If you get me.
Yeah. Okay, so here it is with Final Fantasy VII Remake and me. I have a very complicated relationship with this game for a lot of reasons. I feel there's a lot of stuff you're saying about it, Eva. Like, I don't disagree. I disagree with like a lot of the battle stuff. I think it's a nearly impeccable battle system. I do agree with you, like where it is juvenile and it is corny and it is like this very strange wish fulfillment where just every female character wants to sleep with Cloud, and I don't think that's good. There are moments. The highs of the Final Fantasy VII Remake are genuinely my favorite moments in gaming this year. And the lows are very low, but like I can't deny that when this game had me, it really, really fucking had me. And like seeing these characters that, you know, I really love expressed in different ways, and in ways that did miss the mark sometimes, but ways that I thought were cool too. Like this game did kind of change my opinion on Eris a lot, you know? I can offer you something else instead of Remake.
Okay.
Spelunky 2.
Whoa. You really like Spelunky?
I love Spelunky 2.
Okay. Well, I don't care about Spelunky, so...
So it's Spelunky 2. The reason I feel okay pushing it out now is because I feel like if you measure my median enjoyment of Spelunky, it's always the same. I'm always having a great time with this game. I think it's fantastic. I guess in some ways it misses that it is so perfectly attuned to like my dopamine levels and my like just pure like goblin gamer brain, where it's just always making the neurons fire and I'm always running calculations. I guess there is like maybe a kind of deeper element of it where I feel like it's really speaking to me as a person that isn't there, but that's not the game this is designed to be. Like, Derek Yu is not designing Spelunky to have like a profound emotional effect on people. He is doing it to make an amazing ass video game, and that is this game. It is very simple. You start at the top of a cave, you work your way down, it is procedurally generated. There are all these different systems and physics and all this kind of stuff that interact with each other in a way that is so fucking fascinating that it has you enter a new screen and you just stop and you start running the mental math of how you get from where you are to where you need to go, and all the weird mechanisms and how you can manipulate them to get there. And it's fucking joyous, and like a big part of the game is learning, okay, spiders do this, you know, like mole people do this, cavemen do this. And so when you get really far into that game and you start encountering just new shit you've never seen before, it is some of the most exciting moments I have had all year. Like, me and my cousin Brian have played a lot of this, and we got to Oceania, which is like the fourth world, which we had never gotten to before. And like, you know, the music was different, it was beautiful, it was crazy. It was like water, which we'd never encountered before in the game. And we dove into like the ocean at the bottom of Oceania, and this giant fish comes out that is like 8 times the size of any enemy we've seen so far and just eats us both, and we're dead, back to the start of the game. That moment of like excitement and mystery was one of the few just absolute, nearly like perfect gaming moments I've had this year. It was incredible, and I think this is an incredible game. I get Spelunky now. I understand why people are so hardcore over this. The only reason I feel okay cutting it now is because I know how strongly you two feel about some of these games, and when I look at my games and I look at Spelunky, it's like this is probably the one I'm just about able to cut. I could happily see Splunky in our top 5. You know, that's how good I think this game is. And the way we are measuring games is like, it's like there's fractions of difference in the quality. And I love this game and I can't wait to play more. I'm probably going to play 100 hours of this game. And it is worth, if you get out of it what you put in, and it's fantastic. It is our number 9 game of the year.
Okay.
Brian.
At some point, we're going to have to talk about If Found. And I love that game.
I really like that game too.
Yeah. And I'm so glad it's in our top 10. How do you feel about If Found, John? Because it is a sweet little game.
To me, If Found is like one of the top 3 games that came out this year. I think If Found is like fucking just really profound and sad and made me, you know, like, I have trans people I am very close with, but this game did make me think about some stuff in ways that I've never thought about before, and I think that's really powerful. I would love to see this game go further.
Yeah,
I think it's a really special game, but if the support is there to cut it now, I probably wouldn't fight it.
I hate that 13 Sentinels would get further than this. Can we talk about 13 Sentinels?
We
can talk about 13 Sentinels.
Yeah, okay.
Combat is very fun, very easy.
It's great. Yep.
Very, very easy.
I love the RTS side.
Oh, it's so much fun on hard. It's still kind of easy, but it makes
I pushed it up to hard.
Yeah, because that game, you can platinum that game, no problem.
Yeah, I was S ranking every match on my first go, and I was like, time to push this up.
Yeah.
I got to the horrible point where I was locked out of the combat, and I had to complete more story to get more of the combat. Because the combat and the story and this other part of it are all separate pieces, separate menus that you go into.
But unlock each other.
Yeah.
So I got to a point in the combat where I was just like, well, you got to get 30% of that fucking story, Neve. It's not that I have a huge issue with what's being communicated in the story. It's how it's communicated. It's just so much repeat dialogue over and over and over again.
That's a real... Like, not defending it, that's a real visual novel thing that I don't like.
I know, but it's constant, and it's just like, you want to play the combat, and it's just like, okay, get to this percentage level of the story, but you have to go through everything you've learned before. And it's like, it's not like hard information to remember either. Like, you know, okay, he likes his video. It's like really
basic. His kaiju movie.
Yeah, it's really basic shit that's like overly explained and overly presented, and then you have an archive where it's overly presented and overly explained, and it's like I get it, it's fine.
Should we explain what this game is?
You go for it, Brian. Explain what it is.
It takes place in Japan. Mainly it takes place in Japan in the 1980s, and follows a group of teenagers that more or less go to the same school and kind of overlap in each other's lives. Within that, then there's other timelines in the past and in the future, and there's a lot of time hopping and time skipping, and characters end up in each other's timelines and have to talk to each other and cooperate and figure out what's going on. And that's the visual novel side. On the real-time strategy side, it is after the events of the visual novel, when all the teenagers have activated their mechs and they are fighting an alien invasion in the 1980s, which is kind of the anchor timeline of it all. Mm-hmm. And then there's a third section of the menu where you're going through all the items and key events you've unlocked to get a chronological breakdown of what's happening, because the time traveling and time hopping is all over the place. But once you beat the game and you read through the sequence of events, it actually makes sense. And I really liked it because I'm a sucker for time travel. My two biggest problems with it were the relationships with the characters are cute and sweet, but the romance aspect of it is very bare bones. No characters kiss, and they're very quick to kind of pair off male and female characters for the most part. And any characters that you could kind of ship on the side, the game kind of goes, no, they're related.
Yeah.
Because all the characters are connected to each other in some way or shape that kind of slots them into one motivation, and only that motivation is allowed. My other kind of problem with the game is that it's made by Vanillaware, who make amazing games, and the game looks so good. But this is the first sci-fi game they've done, and this is the first game that they've done that mainly just focuses on humans only. And so all the characters are teenage humans that are wearing more or less the same outfit.
They go to the same school.
And it's very difficult to tell them apart compared to a game like Muramasa or Dragon's Crown or Odin's Sphere, where you have a lot of different body types and shapes and races, and that is very difficult to follow at the beginning. You do eventually get familiar with the characters, and you kind of shorthand them for kind of what kind of tropes they represent, I guess, because the game is anime bullshit. I'm not going to defend that. But I had a great time playing this.
Yeah, I've had a really, really good time playing this. It took me a while to get into it, especially the visual novel aspect, but I actually found, like, I'm not that into the story. Like, it's kind of, yeah, like, it's anime, but the idea of, like, selecting this person and then going through, like, 15 minutes of dialogue, and then they have, like, an interesting little interaction with this other person, and then you're like, oh, what's the deal there? And then you go and pick the other person and see what they're about. I really liked that.
Yeah, seeing it from their perspective, and when they cross paths, and what's affecting them at that point.
It kind of gamified the reveal of the story in a way that I really liked. I've seen a lot of people talk about, like, there's some big revolutionary stuff with the story. If this is it, I feel like maybe that's a little overblown. Like, I think it's just kind of interesting. I love how this game looks. Like, I agree with you on the character designs, Brian, but, like, I love the environmental art. I love the lighting and how they did a lot of that stuff. I'm okay. I think I could let this go now, but I think that's a you call, Brian.
I don't want to let it go now.
Ugh. Okay. Aesthetically, very beautiful. It's very puppet pinned animation. Very nice hand painted backgrounds. I do wish the RTS had a bit more representation of what was kind of happening. There is little clips of what the combat would be.
I don't get this, because they have done these really elaborate animations, but then they're shoved down into, like, little tutorial views. Mm-hmm. And my feeling at some point that was how the combat was meant to look, and
then they had to change the perspective.
And I wish they didn't, because I do actually think, like, the combat feels good. Like, there's a lot of really chunky sounds and, like, really good controller vibration stuff. But I would love to be like, oh, I'm going to use Buster Sword or whatever, and I'd love to see even just, like, it doesn't have to be the exact alien it's slicing into, but I want to see that animation, and I want to be able to, like, go, yeah, look at that, And I think that it doesn't have that as a very missed opportunity.
Yeah, because, like, the alien designs are interesting. It's really, like, kind of War of the Worlds, kind of old tin giants, spider giants, and I think that's
these
like
big tripods.
Yeah, and I think the Sentinels look cool as well. So the RTS side is very, like, it's just done with kind of portraits, and then, like, little pixels for, like, enemies for the bad guys. But I find the combat super fun. I really, really enjoy it, and I like. The writing is kind of frustrating to me, because I do like some of the character relationships and I do find them interesting. But then it gets so generic at times. Like, the first person the character you're playing as meets in their prologue will be their love interest, if not the second person. It's very, like,
it's a Hollywood breeding couple.
They pair them off so instantaneously, and I think if you're going to focus on romance, and I'm not even complaining that they're all heterosexual romance, but I think if you're going to focus on romance, like, write better ones. I think they're not particularly compelling. It is literally like, oh, I bumped into him on the morning I went to school.
There's a lot of, like, admiring from afar.
Yeah, and now I like him, and it's just like the girl with the toast in her mouth ran into a guy and now she's into him. The guy who saw the girl who was tough and is like, maybe I'm into, it's just like, okay, I guess he goes with her and she goes with him, and, like, as Brian said, there's no real room for shipping or fandom stuff, because the game really is just like, oh, that's her mom. And you're like, oh, okay. So there's such a huge focus on romance, but I think it's one of the weaker aspects of it.
They explain why there's romance at the end, and it is...
The fifth element is love.
It's very biblical.
Oh my god, don't tell me it gets Adam and Evie. Oh, fuck's sake.
But see, my thing with this is that like I really enjoyed this game, and there wasn't any like major glaring problems that made me not enjoy certain parts of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like dumb inconveniences that I could just like look aside of. Like it didn't bother me. Like there wasn't like some ass pull in the narrative, or like a really shitty decision that kind of destroys other aspects of the game, or kind of sours the best parts of it.
I think the writing is only okay, but I do think it's better than Final Fantasy VII Remake. Whose cut is this, by the way? I don't know. Who knows?
The listener.
Look, I'm gonna cut something, okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna cut...
Sorry.
Oh shit. The Last of Us Part 2.
Not Resident Evil 3 Remake.
No.
No, I like that game.
Mm-hmm. Is made by a studio who crunches their employees to make beautiful games. It is beautiful. The environments are gorgeous. Some are better than others. I was a little disappointed with the lack of kind of stuff to find in that world. Like, you're looking around and all you find, like, you're just picking up scrap. There isn't really much to find. But when it does do an environment really well, like, it's gorgeous. Like, the theater space looks lovely. Turning around a corner and having a new broken city stretch out of, like, ahead of you is just awe-inspiring from just an environmental design aspect. The story, I don't know, like, when it hits, it sometimes hits. What it's trying to communicate to you about empathy or violence or revenge or whatever, I don't think it ever gets there. Like, I don't like that none of these characters stop to think about what they're doing until it comes to, you know, a pregnant woman, which both of them have. I think it's really... I think this game should have been a stealth game. I think there should have been a focus on not maybe murdering the shit out of fucking everyone all the time.
Yeah. We haven't mentioned it yet. Spoilers for everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're about to dive right in.
This will be in the episode notes, the like major spoilers for all the games we talk about. And we have the game.
So here's my big problem. I feel like Last of Us 2 spends like so much time crescendoing up to this big point. Like, you know, this game has a big point to make, and how does it make it? And it comes down to, is Ellie going to kill Abby? Is Ellie going to kill the person who killed Joel? And then she doesn't. And my problem is that she would have... I feel like it would have made just as much sense, and it would have said the exact same about that character if she killed it.
Yeah.
Like, it just felt like this like the ending of the game doesn't change. She goes back and her girlfriend's left. That's it. I had a good time with this game. I really did. In a way, I enjoyed it. In a way, I honestly didn't enjoy Last of Us Part 1. I thought it... Whatever you want to say about its execution, it swung for the fences. It tried something really fucking crazy and different in terms of its story, and like getting rid of Joel was a big deal. A lot of parts of it didn't work for me. The part in the museum I thought sucked. And I thought it's like Neve, you were saying before about how like a lot of it's just like going, isn't this sad? Isn't it sad that this happened? Yeah, like it's borderline clumsy storytelling. But parts of it fucking ruled. The city, the skyscraper stuff, I thought some of the firefights were great. I think now's the right time to let it go. Yeah.
I just want to point out as well, it is the first game with an LGBT lead. Like, Ellie was an LGBT, like, is a lesbian. That is a huge deal. Whether it was done well or not is up for debate. I have my problems with some of that character stuff. And I think it's just important to point out that there was a lesbian character and a trans character in a AAA game, and that doesn't happen. Like, people like to pretend it happens and we're under siege by all these fucking characters, but we're not. Is it great that the game that's just punishing and torturous and sad and kind of doesn't say much about violence but revels in it is the one with these LGBT characters? No, not for me to say. Some people will love it, some people won't. I didn't particularly love it, you know? Let lesbians triple jump. Let them have a fun game.
Let lesbians triple jump.
Yeah, like
put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Let a lesbian Nathan Drake exist. You know what I mean? It's just like, I think the fact that it's this game also says something about how we use LGBT characters in stuff. But yeah, I'm happy to cut The Last of Us 2 here.
Okay, so that's number 8. Last of Us 2 at the number 8 best game of the year. And at number 7 will be very appropriately the Resident Evil 3 remake.
Nah.
Final Fantasy remake. Look, Neve, I hear you. Stupid juvenile game for asshole teenage boys. That's kind of what I am sometimes, and I can't help it. And this game let me revel in that, and that's pathetic. But I had a wonderful time. This game devastated me, also, and I can't go any further than this. Like, I just, what this game did to the lore, I cannot summon the emotional strength to go through it all again. If you want, go listen to our episode, The Advent Child. It's all there. I speak for like 20 minutes straight about it. I love this game. I hate this game. I really do. And it is my favorite gaming experiences out of this year. It's some of the worst as well. It was fucking devastating. And it's complicated. People have asked me, am I going to make a video about this? Probably not. It's a confusing one, and I don't know where the series goes from here. I don't know. But when this game was great, I had a fucking amazing time with it, and sometimes it is not. But here it is at number 7. Number 6. How are you guys feeling? Remaining, we have Resident Evil 3 Remake, Part-Time UFO, Paper Mario Origami King, If Found, Hades, 13 Sentinels.
It's my turn, is it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Part-Time UFO.
Oh, Brian.
No. I think I have to put a stop to this madness. I think Aegis Rim has done well.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's gotta go.
Okay. Bye, anime.
Miss Morimura dies with her ass to the camera. Like how she lived.
She was so cool, Neve.
Neve, you've never understood women.
Every Vanillaware game has a titty ass character, and they know what they're making.
But this time, the titty ass character maybe was the little sister.
She's not wrong.
I wish people could see the fucking facial expression Neve just made.
Ooh.
Okay, so that means we now have a top 5. Brian, I feel like we talked about Aegis Rim enough, unless you have anything else to say.
The soundtrack's really good, and maybe it's kind of corny because it's supposed to be a throwback to 1980s anime because that's where it's set in. Also, the game is fully voice acted, which is amazing. Like, how many games like that are fully voice acted? Like,
yeah, and the voice acting's good.
Yeah, and they did all the voice acting remotely because they did it back in the spring, and all the voice actors just used Blue Yeti mics and didn't know what they were saying, which is really funny. Guys,
I feel like it. Like, okay, I like Resident Evil 3 Remake. I think it's a cool game. I feel like it has gone too far.
Yeah, probably. Honestly, I didn't think it would get here.
Like,
hey, it beat Last of Us 2.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
Yeah,
I don't know if it should have, but
no, it's good. It's a good zombie game.
Okay, look, I'll get my piece about this real quick. I had a fucking great time with Resident Evil 3 Remake. As the hardcore Resident Evil fan of this podcast, I really have. There has not been a good game since 4. There just hasn't been. This is the first one. I guess, like, seriously, what I've liked about this game is I feel like for a long time now, Resident Evil has kind of had one foot in, like, horror and one foot in action cinema, and for me, just not done either of them very well. Like, it's a personal thing. I know a lot of people love 2. I'm not even trying to dispute the quality of it. I think it's a cool game. It's not for me. This was just a silly action game, and it did that very well, I thought. I would just turn it on for an hour and a half and a bunch of crazy loopy shit would happen. I never found it scary, but I did have a lot of fun with it. I love the sewer dinosaurs so much. I just want one of them. They are great.
With their weird legs.
Yep.
It's a shame there's only 2 puzzles in the whole game.
Yeah. There's like, I just wish it was like 2 hours longer.
Yeah.
Like, buying that game at €60 with Resident Evil Resistance bundled in didn't feel great, but if you can get that game on sale, which it goes on regularly, for like €30, you are in for such a good time.
I think I got it for 20, and I was like, well, this is a fucking bargain. Because, like, it is beautiful. Like
Yeah,
Jill's apartment.
Yeah.
That fucking engine is so good.
It's so good. I think the Capcom team, the Resident Evil team specifically, are some of the best environmental designers in all of video games. And it's like they use reuse. I recognize the reuse from Resistance, from Resident Evil 2 Remake. They use it, but they use it cleverly. It's never copy and
work
pasted.
smart.
Yeah, they work super smart. In Final Fantasy VII Remake, you go into a house, you'll see a poster. You walk outside the house, you'll see the same ugly ass fucking poster reused right there. In this, they will reuse stuff, but it is spaced out and it is in locations where it should be. Like they're very clever with their design decisions, and you see that a lot. Jill's a cool character. I like how they reimagined her. She's not just capable, which is my annoying descriptor for female characters, but she is like confident in a cocky way. Like she has a bit of a swagger to her.
She does.
What's the name of the dude?
Carlos.
He fucking grew on me.
Yeah, Carlos is cool
cool
and lovely. He's just, like they're doing a lot with padding out this world. I think they fell down in my estimation compared to Resident Evil 2 Remake, and there was one bit I specifically really didn't like, the Drain Deimos animation. It's where
the spider things.
the spider thing sticks its thing in Jill's
Yeah,
mouth.
that's
Weird
real
probe.
fucking hentai shit.
Real hentai shit. Kind of comes out of nowhere. There's nothing else like it in the game.
Yeah.
And it just felt really tonally weird, especially with
Weird position to put that character into, because she feels
Yeah.
so fucking strong for that whole
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah, it seems like she'd just grab it and snap it.
Yeah, it's just gross. Like they don't even do that shit in Alien with the face huggers. So like, it's like it was a gross addition that I don't think needed to be there. But other than that, like a really fun time. I love Nemesis. I love the boss fight with Nemesis as a dog. It was very good.
That bit's brilliant.
that took so long.
There
but it was
is
cool.
a quick way to beat it, but like it's really hard to tell if you're making progress in that boss
Yeah.
battle.
Yeah.
And you have to go around and open up all the car doors to get the launcher ammo. But there is a quick way to beat that fight once you know it. But it does feel like you're kind of wasting ammo for ages with the first few times you do it. I do really love Jill and Nemesis' relationship, where it kind of starts off with him hunting her, but towards the end she's kind of like she's welcoming the fights.
I think I've just
him.
woke up in the hospital with Jill, and I'm about to go through that. It's weird. Like to me, it's kind of weird that the game made it this far. But talking about it, I feel like it's also the game that, in a way, probably has like the median acceptableness among all of us.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not any of our favorite games, but it's the one I think we can all agree we had a great time with, and that's fucking weird. But like, yeah, something like that's gonna rise really high. This is what we mean when we talk about this list being a compromise.
It's a very good game.
Okay, I have a question for you two. Which of these games does not make it into our top 3? Hades, If Found, Paper Mario, Part-Time UFO.
Paper Mario.
Yeah, unfortunately, Paper Mario. Like all three of us have played the other 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
I've played Paper Mario, and Paper Mario is the one for me that does not hang.
Yeah.
That battle system seems interesting, but
I
from what I said, people don't
hate it.
like it. Yeah.
I like the boss battles.
I love it.
Oh my god, I feel like just every battle feels the same. It's the same shit.
Gotta solve that puzzle. My one complaint with Paper Mario, and like, I was not expecting to like a Paper Mario game this year. We didn't even know it was coming out until like it was announced in April or something. Like, Neve sent a message to the group just being like, "Hey, look, Brian, there's a new Paper Mario," and I was like, "Okay." And like, I didn't know if
Brian Day, Brian. She said,
"Happy Brian Day, Brian." And like, I didn't like the last 2 Paper Mario games at all because they were broken at a core as games. And I wasn't going to get this, but I decided, look, I'll get it. And I loved it. The one thing I didn't like about this game is that the battles are optional. You get coins for the battles. You do need the coins later on in the game to buy key items. But one of the things I loved about the original 2 Paper Marios, that's Paper Mario on the N64 and Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door on the GameCube, is that you'd fight in a battle and you'd win 3 coins. And you're like, okay, 3 coins, because like things in Mario Land don't cost that much money. But in this, you get like a couple hundred coins. And it's that thing you get in JRPGs where they just add zeros to the rewards.
I hate that.
And then in the game shops, they add zeros to the item prices. And it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And that's all that is. And that's a thing that the previous Paper Mario games challenged in JRPGs that this no longer challenges. And I didn't like that aspect of it. It has partners in the game, but they're AI controlled, and they just sort of drop in and out of the story as they see fit because they have their own thing going on, which I did appreciate. You know, they're not kind of in servitude of Mario. They have their own agency to an extent. The locations are fantastic, especially in Chapter 2 where you go to a Kyoto-inspired location and it's in the height of autumn with red leaves everywhere. That location is fantastic. And then you go to a feudal Japan film set, which is a real location in Kyoto, so it's inspired by that. And you have Shy Guys dressed up as ninjas. And it's cool to see like recognizable Mario enemies, but in like a different costume. Because that was a problem with the previous Paper Mario games, the one on 3DS and the one on the Wii U, that they had asset reuse, but they didn't really kind of like design any of the kind of basic Mario enemies in any fun costumes. And this kind of does a decent job of trying to kind of mix it up a bit. I know that Intelligent Systems, the developer, have a lot of restrictions with that, so they have to be creative in how they go about doing it, but I think they met that challenge very well and bent the rules to their advantage. And I love the battle system. I think it's great. I could see
it. Look, like, I don't even have any complaints with it. If you like puzzles, like moving shapes around, solving puzzles, I think you're gonna like it. I don't, and so it was like all the strategy of an RPG battle just completely removed for the sake of something that just didn't interest me at all. And that's my biggest slight in this game. I love the writing. I love the way it looks.
Oh my God,
I
the
love
writing is
everything
so
else
good.
about it. Some of the dialogue exchanges are so weird and funny, and it's great. It has a real reverence for its series. This is a game by people who love Mario, and it's fucking cool. I feel like number 4 is a good place for it.
Yeah.
I think this list is so fucked up.
This is the most fucked up one we've ever
Yeah,
done.
I honestly think our 20 to 10 is our actual top 10.
No, but then like what we're left with here is like a game that's been in beta for like 2 years,
Yeah.
a mobile game, and then a game I told you about last week.
Yeah.
We're fucking crazy people.
Yeah.
I know this is gonna upset people so much, but
Good.
like, no, I stand by this completely.
Yeah.
Like, fuck everything. I don't give a shit. This is it. Like, this is what we felt, and it's fucked up to look at now, but it was like a struggle, and here we are, and we have to stand by it.
Okay, number 3, part-time UFO.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm guessing a lot of people are like, what the fuck is part-time UFO?
Okay. If you play part-time UFO, you will understand. It's on the
Yeah.
Switch. It costs €9. It's a lovely little game, and how dare you? It's amazing.
It is one of the best puzzle games I've ever played. You are a little UFO, use your little grabby claw to grab things and put them in other places. The physics are so fun and perfect. Fucking hours disappear when I play this game, and it is like the spirit of WarioWare back. It's like all the characters are real cute and janky and hand-drawn, and it's a fucking beautiful game, and it's so much fun. This could be just the endless tower mode, and it would probably be in the same spot. Yeah. I fucking love this game, and yes, it's very simple, but it's like, I don't think you can, like, it's not fair to say it's simple and it doesn't matter. It does what it does so well. It's so cheap. It's so accessible. I love this game.
The game would be worse if it was more complicated.
Yeah.
It's because of how simple it is. It's so good.
Yeah. And it has that fire to it as well, though. Like the dressing yourself up in costumes, all the weird backgrounds, all the weird animations. Like,
yeah,
it is
so charming.
Even like the main menu. It's like the main menu starts and it's the little UFO looking in the job listings for what job he's going to do that day. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. The sprite art is just near perfect. I think it's the best pixel game this year. I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
I really love the simple kind of rule that if something has a double thick outline around the sprite outline, it's interactable. If it only has a single wide outline, it's a BG element. But then there's unlockables where you notice something is in the background because it has the lighter saturation, but it has the thicker outline.
Is this how you catch the burglars?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It's so simple, but it's so clever.
Yeah, and like just the way they remixed the ideas. It's a great fucking game. It belongs at number 3.
Yeah. And then we're left with two
Hades
two
and
really good
If
games.
Found.
These are both good games.
Yeah, they really are.
And one is so personal as well because it just nails Irish authenticity.
Yes. In all the good ways and bad ways.
Yeah.
Like it
The amount of shit I found out that isn't a thing in other places, like selection boxes and hot water bottles.
Yeah, the hot water bottle
Yeah.
thing really threw me off. What the fuck are you doing, lads?
But Americans don't have kettles. How do they drink their
Okay.
tea?
So here's what I feel like we're facing here. We can both agree. We can all agree these are like very good experiences. These are fucking great. For me, Hades is like, it is the fucking game. It is something you play and you figure out and you poke at and you experiment with. It is that. If Found is like just, it is a story. It is pure story. And I think Hades has good story. Nowhere near on the level of If Found. Like, I think If Found is such a beautiful game. It is about being a trans girl and going back to basically your hometown, and just meeting everyone again and like reconnecting and not fitting in and finding a new existence with other people. And the illustration style is so fucking beautiful.
Yeah, the
It
fluffy,
makes my chest
wispy
hurt.
line art is so endearing.
Yeah, like you couldn't. I don't feel like this game has this power without that illustration.
Yeah.
I feel like if there was two things I'd put against both these games, it's like one with Hades. I got to a point with Hades, and it was that thing with roguelikes where it felt like a piece of chewing gum I had chewed all the flavor out of. You know, I just wasn't excited to do anything in it anymore. I think in a lot of ways it's more fun than like Spelunky 2 or Binding of Isaac, but I also feel like there's less depth to it once you start realizing what works in Hades. And with If Found, like, I love it. It is a visual novel. Like, you press A and you go forward. And I think it does really amazing things with that. But the game side of it is lacking. And I'm not saying it's a worse experience for that, but I just feel like it's something that needs to be considered.
Yeah, they're all fair points.
Yeah. It's hard to pick between them because, as you said, Hades is like a game. Like, you play that.
It's the gamest game that ever gamed.
Yeah, and If Found is purely story driven. And honestly, some of the game mechanics, like the erasing in it, like, I get thematically what that means to like erase a diary or just to erase hurt or just like memory, and like thematically it works, but just mechanically, it was a little like.
I agree. And there was
Okay.
there was moments where like I got stuck and I was like, what? Like, where have I not erased?
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened to me once or twice. It got a bit buggy. Or it was one of the bits where you had to navigate with the kind of the periscope vignette, and you kind of follow a trail, but sometimes it doesn't lock on, and you have to do it one or two times, and then it locks on and kind of continues the narrative. So I had one or two bumps like that. I do love that when you erase that there's eraser bits on the sketchbook. I've never, because like I've played games before where you wipe stuff off away, but I've never seen like residue.
And it never feels right because of that.
Yeah.
And then Hades, like, man, when you're figuring Hades out, when you're like learning how to use its weapons and you click into a build that works and you just enter, like, I'm sure everyone knows that Hades by now, but like, you're Zagreus, the son of Hades, you're trying to battle your way up through Hades and escape, and you know, there's these story reasons that become other story reasons, and it's fantastic. But God, it command for like 30 hours or 20 hours or whatever it is, it just commands that dopamine flow like a fucking master. And it's a really great game, and like, you get boons from different gods, and the writing for all the gods, like, I loved them. There were so many good exchanges. There were so many really heartfelt exchanges in it as well. I feel like it's a game where barely anyone is like snarky or like kind of confrontational in it. Well, they are confrontational, but like, it felt like there was always this tenderness behind it that I loved.
Yeah, no,
they're gods, so they're a little dismissive of you, but they're also like, come on, lad. Like, in a way, they kind of want to. I think they're bored. They kind of want to see it happen.
They are very bored.
And then,
like,
like, when you get to the boss fight where you learn it, they're also giving their favor to the other dude as well. Like, it's like,
Yep.
No, yeah, they're really just having a laugh, and poor Zagreus.
If I have a downside to the storytelling in Hades, it is all very, like, Zagreus is the main character. It's all very centered around Zagreus. Like, everyone's talking about Zagreus and what he's doing, and as you go on, there's little, like, and play more of it, but you have to get around maybe the 30 run mark. You kind of get more interpersonal stuff between the gods and stuff.
My favorite parts of the game is, like, when you find oh my god, we didn't put Megara in Best New Character.
Oh.
Okay, Brian, Control A, Control X. Let's take
Delete
it from
all
the top.
this shit.
Okay, welcome.
But yeah, you find like Megara and Dusa drinking together, and their relationship sounds so like wholesome and supportive, and just I love that. Guys, I think this has to come down to like, what's your gut telling you? Which do you say?
I didn't love Hades as much as other people, but I don't love that type of game.
Yeah.
You know, it's beautiful, and I think what was so good about it is it did introduce a lot of people who don't play this type of game to this type of game.
That's true.
It's very, like,
Yeah,
those
it
character
took
designs are gorgeous, and people are doing fan art and fan communities.
And some of the voice act, like Megara's voice acting, where it's like everything is this low growl, and it's so fucking good.
Yeah, I get it. You like Meg.
Look, I'll send you some fan art later.
It's okay. I've seen the same fan art. We both follow Marin.
Have you seen the Babs Jaws one?
No.
We'll talk.
Okay.
Oh my god.
But then, like,
yeah.
with F Found is so uniquely Irish.
It is.
Like,
And
shout outs to Bosco, like Bog Roads.
The
just
fucking bit
the
about
Angelas.
Bosco, and when you go into like the like information about Bosco, brilliant. Mm-hmm. Because I haven't thought about Bosco, but you know what makes complete sense? A non-gender puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like, I guess I projected myself onto Bosco.
And like, it is part of it, and like, I have really struggled with this, but like, we're a fucking Irish video game podcast. You know, like it is hard for this game, for parts of this game, not to maybe hit us harder than it's going to hit other people.
Yep.
But then, like, is that something we need to hide? You know?
Like,
no, like, I'm really proud of this game,
Yeah, like,
because
yeah.
like there's very few Irish things.
And just to be clear, like, if it wasn't a good game before any of this, it would not have got this far. Like, the Irish is like, it's a part of it that I feel like we have to consider at this point when we're like drilling into every tiny thing about this game. But if this game wasn't a fucking powerful ass piece of art, it'd be fucking wallowing with goddamn Lonely Mountain Downhill. Oh, that's a good game too.
But like, the Irish of it is so part of its identity, and just like, it's set in the 90s, in 93 specifically, which is actually the year that homosexuality was decriminalized in Ireland. So it's like really the expectations and what is expected of you just as a person in a small community. And I think when you're from a city, the thing you don't realize about small communities is you give up your right to anonymity. Everyone knows everything about you. Everyone knows your parents. Everyone knows your brother. Everyone knows. So the fear of disappointing them, the fear of showing them up. And you have this character, Cassio, who's escaped that and gone to college, but has to come home to it. And that is just a thing that I think like LGBT people can relate to, is like stepping back into that situation where your anonymity is gone and where people are judging you in a way that is so specifically, like, there's some, like, we talk about Irish mammies, and every Irish person listening knows what that's mean. There's like a total attitude to an Irish mom, warmth and love of an Irish mommy. But also there's this coldness of how an Irish mommy can needle you.
And so dismissive.
Yeah, like, they can say something to you, form it as a question, like, do your friends like your hair like that?
Yeah.
And you know what they're saying, and it's hurting, but it's like, it's such a specific way, and Cassio's mom treats her like that. Like,
Yeah,
she
she's
says
so
these
well
little
written.
like needling little things, like, I saw those clothes in your room.
I heard a thing recently that really stuck with me, and it's that Irish people are friendly, they are not supportive. And I feel like that is really true and sad, and I think it speaks to a lot of our history that we're kind of like that. And I feel like this game kind of communicates that in like the kind of stuff you're saying. You know, the stuff earlier I mentioned about like maybe it doesn't take advantage of the fact that it's a video game. I do agree with that. I also think if you put this game in any other medium, it loses a lot of its power, because you're never going to get a fucking animated series like this. It's not going to happen. It's too small, it's too personal, it's too intimate. If you put it as a comic book, you lose some of the genuinely really fascinating animation and transitions. You lose the music.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
Music's
like
great.
it couldn't exist as a 5-minute short. It has to be this like 2-hour experience where you do immerse yourself in this world. And I do think like a visual comic book that you have control over, and the idea that you are erasing your past, it is kind of critical, you know? And I think I'm gonna push for If Found.
I'm okay with that. I kind of agree with you. I agree with you, like, fully. Like, just even talking about LGBT representation in games with The Last of Us, the biggest game to do it. Did it do it? It's kind of a vicious game. You know, not great things happen to Cassio. It's a lot about the pain of coming out, but it's also about finding yourself and being okay with that and accepting yourself and finding your tribe and the group of people who will love you for you. And it does that so masterfully and so, like, honestly.
Yeah, and also, like, I think there's a real thing in there about, like, just going through fucking personal oblivion that is really profound and scary, but it's powerful.
It's got a really, really great epilogue as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can kind of go through the different timelines, and because like that definitely is a thing where you get to spend like a week with these characters, but you kind of want to know what the trajectory with them is, because it's a turning point for Cassio, but they're all kind of bouncing off that turning point.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, Hades at number 2, and If Found, the number 1 Let's Fight a Boss 2020 Game of the Year. You want to do a countdown, or how you feeling?
Yeah, let's do it.
Brian, you want to start us off there at number 46?
All the way down. Let's do this. Number 46, Ninjala. Number 45, Kentucky Route Zero. Number 44, Fall Guys. Number 43, Tamashi. Number 42, Genshin Impact. Number 41, Inmost. 40, Watam. 39, The Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope. 38, Crusader Kings 3.
Number 37, Superliminal. Number 36, Minoria. Number 35, Eichenfeld. Number 34, Panzer Paladin. Number 33, Lonely Mountain Downhill. Number 32, One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. Number 31, Teardown. Number 30, Super Mario Bros. 35. Number 29, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. Number 28, Visage. Number 27, Mortal Shell. Number 26, Summer's End, Hong Kong 1986. Number 25, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Number 24, Carrion. Number 23, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Number 22, Inertial Drift. Number 21, A Short Hike. Number 20, Granblue Fantasy. Number 19, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Number 18, Bugsnax. Number 17, Streets of Rage 4. Number 16, Yes Your Grace. Number 15, Yakuza 7.
Number 14, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. 13, Deadly Premonition 2. 12, Paradise Killer. 11, Yomorangi Generation. Top 10. 10, Dreams. 9, Spelunky 2. 8, The Last of Us Part 2. 7, Final Fantasy VII Remake. 6, 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim.
5, Resident Evil 3 Remake. 4, Paper Mario, The Origami King.
3, Part-Time UFO. 2, Hades.
And 1, If Found.
And that's it. After 7 hours of podcasting, we've decided to get... I think this list is going to be super divisive.
Good.
I get it. Look, you heard the fucking logic. This is all we got. This is what we feel strongest. And finally, we can all go home. After we decide one more decision, it's the Let's Fight a Boss Galactic Champion of Hopes and Dreams. It is If Found versus Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
Yeah, Fire
Okay,
Emblem.
so here's my arguments with Fire Emblem. Okay,
It's a very good Irish game.
I have come to the
It is.
I've come to the conclusion with Fire Emblem 3 that of every game last year, Fire Emblem 3 Houses is the absolute best 6 out of 10 one.
Fire Emblem 3 was a cool game.
Yes.
And it's for cool guys who know how to be cool.
You fucking waifu ass.
Hey, our waifus are going to fight the church.
I don't agree with it, but I don't see what recourse I have here.
Hey, you found a cool game.
Guys, that's going to do it for Let's Fight a Boss Game of the Year 2020. I am tired. This was a war. I want to just say that I'm really happy to be doing this again. And this was kind of fucking grueling, and I'm sort of emotionally devastated right now. But I'm really happy to be doing this again with the both of you, genuinely. And it means a lot that we got through everything and we are here.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Niamh.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Niamh.
Thanks, John.
We will be back in early January. Not 100% sure when. Probably a Monday. Keep an eye on our Twitter. That will change. In our next episode, 2021's War for the Queendom. And this time, I'm taking no fucking prisoners.
Taking no names either.
When I win the crown, I will do something unheard of on this podcast. I will reveal the identity of the nameless one.
I wonder who could that could be.
There's no way
John,
to tell.
You will never win it. I will burn this fucking kingdom to the ground before I let you get your grubby little hands on it.
Then I will rule the ashes. Guys, have a really great time over the holidays. It's great to be back. We missed you. Oh shit! Shenmue! Guys, we dropped the first episode of our Shenmue Let's Play. Like, I thought you were being like, why would you
just one last
why
hurrah.
would you fuck with me like this?
That's it.
Yeah, we've dropped the first episode of our Shenmue 2 Let's Play. We will have the first episode's out today, the second episode's out tomorrow. After that, you gotta fucking wait, we're tired. It's a real time.
That game sucks.
You know, it was a little divisive, but I feel like it really started.
It's the worst game I've played in 2020.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.